Hey guys, welcome to the channel. As you see in the thumbnail, what if banished Naruto get raised by zabuza, haku and isaribi? Before I start, please do support for more awesome content and subscribe my channel and like this video. Go support and follow the Darth Valga for writing that awesome fanfic, and also make sure to comment on this story, link in the description. It was an average day in the village hidden in the leaves. At the front gate, Team 7 was waiting for their sensei Kakashi Haddock. Among those waiting were the finest rookies produced this year. First, the number 1 rookie, Sasuke Uchiha. Then there was Sakura Haruno, who had the highest grades in the class and the Uchiha's number 1 fan. The last member on the team was named Hiro Hyuga. He was the twin brother to Hinata Hyuga and most likely to become the heir to the clan. There was no difference in appearance between himself and his sister. They both had short blue hair and the same eye color, duh. They even wore the same style of cloths, except his jacket was always left unzipped. But in attitude, they were opposites. Hiro was focused and never stammered. He was also a bit arrogant, but not at the Uchiha level. Their sensei finally arrived with their client Izuna. "Are you sure about them?" asked Izuna again. "They don't seem all that strong." "Relax," said the lazy shinobi. "I happen to be a jonin. If anything goes wrong, I'll be able to take care of it." No one noticed a small piece of ice on the village gates. A small path of ice was attached to it and went out into the forest. It stopped at a tree about a mile away where 2 figures in masks were watching them from a very large ice mirror. One of them was dressed as a hunter nin, while the other was dressed as a Mist Anbu with a fox mask. There were several things that made this pair look odd. One was that they looked no older than 12 or 13. Another was that they shouldn't be in the land of fire. The most curious was the conversation they were having. "So, there's the target," said the hunter nin. His friend didn't reply, he seemed to be staring at the Hyuga. "So that's the guy you have been telling me about these past 6 years," said the hunter. "Let's see their skill level," said the Anbu suddenly. "Would you like to go?" "No, not yet anyways. Send out the demon brothers. If they lose, we will inform Zabuza sensei." They both turned and walked in the direction they could find the 2 brothers. As they did, the ice suddenly turned to water and laid there. Team 7 continued their journey until they passed by a puddle of water. Sakura didn't think much of it, but the rest of her team did. When the demon brothers shot out of it, they attacked Kakashi first. Or at least tried to. Hiro used his gentle first one, while Sasuke used a kunai to stop the other's chain. After that, Kakashi finished him off with a single punch. "Izuna, you got some explaining to do," said Kakashi. Izuna spilled his guts out to them about Geto and the problems in Wave. While this was happening, no one noticed more ice on the tree behind them. "So, think Zabuza will be interested?" asked the hunter nin. "Yes. I believe he will want to fight them personally. With him taking care of this, the mission will be over sooner." "Yeah, then you can go on that date with the fish girl," said his partner with a smirk. A few days later, Team 7 entered the land of waves. Once they got into range, a rabbit was let loose to distract them. That rabbit's color is wrong for this season. Could this mean that everyone get down?" shouted the lazy jonin. A second later, as Anbato came flying over their heads and was caught by Zabuza. Well, isn't this a surprise," he said. "Zabuza Mamachi, the demon of the hidden mist," exclaimed Kakashi. "I'm honored that the great copy nin knows me. But, I'm not here for you. If you and your team stands down, I will not hurt any of you." "I'm sorry, but you know I can't do that. Have it your way." With that said, the fight began. "I'm not a big fan of this fight. It happens just as if Naruto was there, so it's no big deal. So, here is a time skip of about 10 minutes. Zabuza was knocked into a tree with Kakashi standing above him. "Can you see the future?" "Yes," was Kakashi's only reply. Before he could finish Zabuza, a few senbon appeared in his neck. Kakashi checked and confirmed that Zabuza was dead. Suddenly, the 2 who had been watching them appeared. "Thank you for wearing him out for us," said the hunter nin. "Me and my partner, Bloody Fox, have been tailing him for some time now." "Did you say Bloody Fox?" asked Kakashi. Both Mist Nins nodded. "What's wrong, sensei?" asked Sakura. "Bloody Fox has a reputation similar to Zabuza. When he was ordered to kill a genin to pass his exam, he mauled his opponent like a wild animal and was shortly assigned to the Mist Sanbu unit. I never believed him to be so young." This information shocked the 3 genin. "He's no older than I am," thought Sasuke. "How can he be Anbu while I, and Uchiha, am not?" Without a word, the 2 grabbed Zabuza and left as Kakashi fell from chakra depletion. Kakashi groaned as he opened his eyes. He was now at Izuna's home. His daughter, Tsunami, was standing above him. "About time you woke up," she said. "Hey, the Cyclops is awake." At that, his team quickly came to him. Sasuke and Hiro didn't say much. Sakura was going on about how amazing he was against Zabuza. "We have a problem," Kakashi said suddenly. "Zabuza isn't dead." "What?" cried Tazuna. "But you said that he was dead. We saw these two kids take him." "Yes," replied Kakashi, "and that's the problem. They were supposed to get rid of the body right there, but they didn't. Also, the weapon that was used is used to stun, not kill. Also, it is rare to see a hunter nin and an Anbu working together with no backup. With these facts, I'm sure he's alive." Suddenly there was a knock on the door. "Oh, he's finally here," said Tsunami as she went to answer the door. Suddenly, everyone heard a very loud and annoying voice. "Hey, Miss Tsunami, I got that order for you," said the youngster at the door. "Thank you, Naruto," said Tsunami with a smile, and she accepted a large basket. "Would you two like to come in?" "Sure," said Naruto, who dragged a girl in with him. Everyone turned to see a spiky-haired blonde with blue eyes and whisker marks and a girl covered in bandages with black hair. The boy was dressed in a plain white shirt and blue jeans. The girl had on a simple blue dress. Kakashi was the first to realize who he was. "Naruto," he shouted. "Yaoyer," he paused for a moment. "I'm sorry, who are you again?" Everyone face faulted. "Who he is, sensei?" asked Sakura. "It's understandable that you would recognize him," said Kakashi. "His is Naruto Uzumaki." At that, Hiro began to worry. "Shit, I thought I'd never see him again. Just as long as he has forgotten what happened 6 years ago, everything will be alright. If anyone found out, my clan will be dishonored." "So, you all know my boyfriend?" asked the girl. "No," said the Uchiha. "A little," said the Hyuga. "Boyfriend?" exclaimed Sakura. "Wow, you are just the luckiest girl I know. To have found true love already, I envy you, miss." "Isaribi," she said. "Okay," said Sakura. "So tell me, how did you two meet?" "It was a while ago. Met along with another guy, Haku. Since then, all three of us have been traveling together and doing odd jobs. Like right now, we are sneaking supplies into the town while they are building the bridge. Gato is placing heavy taxes on everything, and we are trying to help out and have some fun at the same time." "Oh," said Kakashi. "A threesome, is it?" This caused Naruto and Isaribi to suddenly turn red. Kakashi let out a laugh. "Well, I wouldn't mind it if Haku was a girl," said Naruto with a dreamy look on his face. "That guy has confused many a fellow." "Yeah?" said an irritated girlfriend. "Everyone always gets confused and then they think I'm a boy when they find out." "I remember when I first found out," said Naruto with a smile. Flashback. It had been a week since Haku, Naruto, and Isaribi first meet. On their way to their new home, they stopped at a bathhouse to get rid of all the filth. When Naruto was about to enter the men's side, he saw Haku's clothes were in a basket. "What are these doing here?" he asked aloud. "Maybe this is co-ed bathing. Haku sure is cute, so I don't mind sharing with her." He entered the bath just as Haku was about to get in as well. This gave him a large surprise. "Haku, you're a guy." "Yes," replied Haku with a smile. "Did I forget to tell you?" Yes, you did," responded Naruto. "Hey, if you're a guy, does that mean that Isaribi is one too?" As soon as he said this, Isaribi was on top of the fence with an angry look on her face. "Hey, I'm all girl here, Buster." She stopped when she noticed Naruto passed out due to a nosebleed and Haku blushing. "What with you two?" She looked down. "Shit, I forgot to put on a towel." Then flashback. Naruto finished reminiscing. Everyone was staring at him. One girl, in particular, shot him a death glace. "Don't tell them stuff like that." "Sorry," he replied. "So Naruto," said Kakashi suddenly. "When are you coming back to Leaf? The third has been very worried about you." "I don't know," said Naruto as he brought his hands to the back of his head. "Right now I'm a bit busy. Plus I don't think the ninja life is for me. I'm just happy as is. After all, this world is made of love and peace." As he finished, he turned to give Isaribi a kiss on her cheek. Sasuke just snickered when he heard this. He'd never make it as a ninja. Helping others just makes you weak. "Well then," said Kakashi, "we better get to work. I have to make you all strong so you can help me fight Zabuza when the time comes." "Then we'll get out of your way," said Isaribi. She and Naruto then left, promising to come by later in the week with more food and other supplies. Later that day, Gato was yelling at an injured Zabuza. "You call yourself a demon," he shouted. "Not even that girly brat have is scared of you." He then spit on Zabuza. Haku got ready to kill him, but Zabuza told her not to kill the client. "Fine then," said Bloody Fox. He was standing next to Gato. He quickly grabbed his arm and ripped it off. Gato fell to the ground, crying and screaming for help. Fox's hands began to glow red and he touched the bloody wound. The smell of burning flesh could be smelt by anyone in the room. Soon the bleeding stopped. Beto looked to where his bodyguard were and saying that they had been knocked out by a girl who looked half human and half fish. "Know your place, weakling," said Fox, in a cold and quiet voice. "You are only as powerful as we allow you to be. We are only doing this for the money and can easily get another job. Now, the only reason I didn't kill you for that insult to my sensei was because he taught us never to kill the hand that feeds us. Let this be a reminder of what we can do." "Why yes, I understand," said Gato as he crawled out of the room. "That wasn't necessary," said Zabuza. "I know," said Bloody Fox in a more cheerful voice. "But I have had some pent-up aggression for a while now and needed to let it out. Besides, that stupid little man was asking for it." "Zabuza," said the fish girl, "I have sent a letter to Miss saying that our team still hasn't found you and will be staying in this area for about another 2 weeks looking for clues." "Excellent," said Zabuza. "After this is done, you three will continue to be my spies in Mist till I need you again or I'm ready to try another takeover." "Yes, Zabuza sensei," said all three of them. "Hey Fox, come over here," said Zabuza. Bloody Fox calmly walked over to his sensei. "Hold out wrists. I have a present for you." Kakashi stood in a clearing watching Sasuke try to walk up a tree. Try being the key word. The first day, both Sakura and Hiro had completed the exercise. Only Sasuke had yet to complete it and it pissed him off. He was the only Uchiha left, so failure was not an option. He had to get the power needed to kill his brother. He had to. "Hey," came a loud voice, "where is that pervert ninja and that stuck-up ass?" "We're over here, Naruto," shouted Kakashi in Naruto's direction. He turned to Sasuke. "I know you don't like him, but please be nice. He is supplying us with food and other things for a cheap price. Also I want to try and bring him back with us." Sasuke fell to the ground. "Why bother with that loser? He has no skills and would only slow us down. He's useless." "Well," said Naruto as he walked into the area with a large bag, "if I am so useless, then I don't think I can get you the scroll you wanted." Sasuke had asked Naruto yesterday if he could find a scroll with fire jutsus. Naruto had written it down along with a long list of items that the rest of the team wanted. "I didn't think you could do it anyway," said Sasuke. "Oh Kakashi," said Naruto, ignoring the Uchiha, "I got the latest issue of that book you order." He reaches into the bag and then tosses an orange book at Kakashi. "Sakura's shampoo is here as well. I also got Hiro some new sandals and your scroll, Sasuke." Naruto sets the bag down, then grins at the two in front of him. "Not bad, Naruto," said Kakashi while he starts reading his new book. "We could use someone like you in the supply department in the village." "I don't know," said Naruto as he scratched his head. "I really like what I'm doing now. I go where I want and do what I want. Plus I have friends that I don't want to leave. I just can't abandon them." After hearing this, Kakashi was silent. He told his team that those who don't follow the rule wear trash and those who disregard their comrades were below trash. Naruto seemed to know this very well. "Hey Sasuke," said Naruto. "Why are you training so hard? I mean, what is the reason behind all your hard work?" "I train so that I may one day kill my brother and then I will rebuild my clan." "I may be out of line here, but shouldn't it be the other way around?" Sasuke glared at Naruto. "Yes, you are out of line." "What do you mean by that, Naruto?" asked Kakashi. "Well, he is the last Uchiha. If he fights his brother first and loses, then won't that mean his clan bites the dust?" At this, Sasuke began to sweat. "I mean, if it were me I'd just focus on restoring my clan so that if I fail, there is a backup ready. But hey, I'm just a nobody and you're a genius." With that, Naruto began to walk away into the woods. Kakashi watched him, his eyes narrowing. "Why do I get the feeling he's up to something? What does he know? I'm from a great and powerful clan and he's just dirt. There is no way I can lose. But what if he's right?" Over in another part of the forest, Hiro was practicing his gentle fist. His thoughts were elsewhere. Flashback. "Brother, when is Naruto coming?" asked Hinata. Ever since she met the blonde, her confidence had begun to increase. She had stopped stammering and had greatly improved to a level where she could beat her brother in a spar. "You didn't hear," said Hiro with a small smirk. "Hear what?" "He left the village." To say that Hinata was upset by this was an understatement. She was devastated. He was one of her closest friends. The one person that she trusted more than her own family, the person who she's secretly teaching gentle fist to, was gone. What was worse was that he didn't say anything to her. "Why?" she asked with tears running down her face. "Who knows?" replied Hiro, who was fighting the urge to shout out the truth. "Maybe he got tired of this place and left. Or maybe he turned traitor and is selling secrets to the enemy." Present. Hiro's smirk grew as he remembered that day. That was when Hinata began to revert to her old self. The way she was before she met Naruto and became a threat to him. Normally, if twin boys were born, the first one gets to be head. But, in situations like theirs, the stronger of the two becomes the head. But now, he didn't have to worry anymore. her strength was gone forever. Suddenly, there was a sound come from the behind him. Hiro turned around to see a very pretty girl in a pink outfit. Her face looked soft, and her long black hair seemed only to enhance it. Hiro's mind went into overdrive with fantasies of him marrying her. Yes, she will make an excellent mate. Sorry, said Haku, I didn't mean to bother you. I was just out for a short walk. You're far from the village, are you lost? As he said this, Hiro walked up to Haku until they were face to face. No, I enjoy long walk. Not to mention the village has lost its beauty. Then, Hiro kissed Haku on the lips. This, as you can imagine, shocked the hell out of Haku. You will be mine, said Hiro as he pulled back. And I always get what I want. I'm sure you do, said Haku as he turned around. As he walked away, his calm face was replaced by one of rage. I'll kill him. Sakura and Tazuna were walking home from the bridge when they came across Isaribi. She was handing out candy to some children when she spotted them. Hey Isaribi, called out Sakura. Nice to see you again Sakura, said Isaribi. Oh Tazuna, Naruto is dropping off more supplies to your house. Would you like to walk with us for a while, asked the old man. Sure, but I do have to get ready for my date tonight, said Isaribi as she began to walk with them. You're so lucky, cried Sakura. I have been trying everything to get Sasuke to notice me and nothing works. It was the same with me and Naruto, said Isaribi with a smile. He used to only see me as a friend or sister. No matter how many advances I made, he remained clueless to how I felt about him. So what did you do? Men little to go on the offensive, she said. See, men like to be the ones making the advances and work for the girls they want. I was making myself too easy for him. So I started asking other people out and Naruto let his jealousy take over. Wow, maybe I should try that out with Sasuke. How about you come with me and Naruto? We can set you up with Haku and we can make it a double date. Are you sure? Asks Sakura as Isaribi begins to walk in a different direction. Don't worry. Just meet us by the lake in the woods at 6. Later that night at 6, Sakura met Isaribi at the lake who had brought sandwiches. Haku was there as well and he kind of freaked out Sakura. I mean, he looked hotter than she did and was wearing his pink outfit. Sakura just stared at him for a while. Haku, I told you to wear something nice. Sorry Isaribi, said Haku, but this is my nicest outfit. That's just sad. Excuse me, interrupted Sakura. Where is Naruto? Over here, said Naruto as he came jogging up to them. He was carrying a cheap Karaoke machine. Sorry I'm late. I had to make an odd delivery. Elsewhere, Orochimaru was looking at the book his assistant Kabuto had given him. What am I going to do with a Bible? Asked the snake man. As the boys set up the machine, the girls gossiped. So, how did Sasuke react when he heard you were going out? He flipped out. I had never seen him like that. This was an exaggeration. All he did was grunt louder than usual and destroy 6 or 7 trees. Hey girls, said Naruto as he walked up to them. The machine is ready. Hey, I just noticed something, said Sakura as she looked at Naruto's wrists. They had been bandaged. A little accident, said Naruto as he waved the question. Now let's have some fun. And fun they did have. Haku sang I Need a Hero, however his dancing creeped everyone out, think Shirk too. Naruto did a selection of Linkin Park. Isaribi sang A Talent for Love and God Help the Outcasts. Finally Sakura decided to sing Perfect Day. After they finished singing for a while, they decided to eat a few sandwiches. While they ate, Sakura was asked a lot of questions about her training and what her team knew. Not thinking much about this she answered each question truthfully. About 2 hours later they headed back towards Tazuna's home and ran into Inari, who was crying his eyes out. You're all going to die, shouted the boy as they walked up to him. Gato is going to kill you so you are wasting your time here. At least someone is doing something, replied Haku. Shut up, none of you know the pain we are feeling. None of you know what it's like to suffer for no reason. You little started Naruto before Isaribi interrupted him. Calm down, she said. No way, he said before turning back to Inari. What do you know of suffering? Did your family and friends abandon you after a very difficult time in your life, he said glancing at Isaribi. Did your father kill your mother in front of you and then try to do the same to you, he said, turning his side glance to Haku. Did you grow up in a place where you lived like dirt and no one showed you any kind of compassion as you cried yourself to sleep every night? I don't think so. This world is hell, so get used to it. With that he stormed off followed by his friends. Sakura watched them leave for a few moments. She then helped Inari back into the house and told Kakashi what had happened. It seems Naruto found people who have felt similar pain, was all he said. Back at Gato's place, Zabuza was talking to his 3 students. Have you learned anything new? Asked a demon of the mist. Kakashi seems to favor the Uchiha more than the rest. The girl and the Hyuga have trained solo for the most part, other than team exercises. They will be easy to pick off, said Bloody Fox. Good. I want you three to train and be ready by the end of the week. Fox, I don't want you to take off my gift until you have no other choice. I don't think that will be necessary with these guys, but train hard anyways. Haku, make sure your chakra reserves are full and more on your speed. Fishy, work on those medical jutsus I gave you. Dismissed. Isaribi finally hit land. It had been a week since she left her village after Orochimaru had let her go. She had hoped that the villagers would have understood that what happened to her wasn't her fault, but hate is so much stronger than mercy. So was fear. Her body was in its transformed state, making her look like some kind of humanoid fish creature. She didn't care who saw her. All she hoped for was an end. An end to the pain and the hungry. Who could love a monster? Hey, are you okay? Came a voice. Haku, come here and give me a hand. Isaribi felt two sets of hands grab her and pull her out of the river. She felt the cold snow press against her scaly skin. She opened an eye and saw two other children. They both looked worried about something. For a second, she thought they were worried about her, but how could they? She was a monster. She felt fabric press against her. She opened her eye again to see one of them had taken off his shirt and had been trying to dry her off. A few seconds later a fourth person came. Well, what do we have here? Said a large man that Isaribi could barely make out. Two kids with bloodline limits and some other brat. He pointed to the one drying here. Get out of my sight, you do not interest me. Shut up, yelled the boy. I'm sick of people thinking I am worthless. I do have worth. I will be noticed. Who are you to judge me? As the boy said this, Isaribi could feel an odd power coming from him. And so did the man. Interesting, said the man. He came over and patted the boy on the head. Looks like I misjudged you, kid. In fact, you remind me of a clan I heard about. Come with me and I will give all three of you power and respect. In return, you will be my weapons. It is this or death, make your choice. Present. Kakashi and the rest of Team 7 were finally ready to escort Izuna to the bridge. As they walked out the door, they were greeted with the smiling faces of Isaribi and Naruto. Naruto had in his hand a basket. Izuna, I got that order you asked for, he said. Great, why don't you two come with us to the bridge, said Izuna. What did you order, asked Kakashi. He was eyeing the basket, but something else worried him. What it was, he didn't know. It was as if something was out of place. Just some things for the workers who haven't given up hope, replied the old man. They need it now more than ever. Kakashi nodded. With each passing day, fewer people stayed to help with the bridge. Only a handful of people were left. Over by the bridge, three figures were getting ready to greet their guests as they hid in the mist. They stood amongst the fallen villagers who had been at the bridge at the time. Zabuza looked down at Bloody Fox and Haku. Haku was wearing his usual hunter nin attire. Bloody Fox, however, was dressed like a mini Zabuza. From the way he wore his headband to the side to the style of his pants. There were a few differences. First, he was wearing a black muscle shirt. Second, he didn't have bandages around his face, he had a mask. Finally, no Zanbatsu. Is there something on your mind, Fox? Asked Zabuza. Only one thing, Zabuza-sensei, replied Fox. I want to fight the Hyuga. This is an odd request from you, any reason? I'll explain later. With that, they were silent for a while. They're late, said Haku. About 10 minutes later, Kakashi and crew arrived at the bridge and were shocked to see all the work crew dead. They're late, shouted Zabuza and Haku together. Fox sweat dropped. Well, we got lost. Wait a minute, cried Kakashi as he realized what he was saying. How can we be late? I didn't know that we had an appointment. Zabuza looked at Haku. He shrugged, saying that he knew he forgot something. Suddenly the area that was covered with mist became thicker. Crap, thought the lazy nin hiding mist jutsu. Luckily, Hiro activated his Byakugan. Kakashi, there are 7 clones surrounding us. As he said this, Sasuke began to shake. This didn't go unnoticed by Zabuza. Looks like those kids of yours are still weak. Look at that one shake. I'm shaking, said Sasuke with excitement. With that, he destroyed 5 of the water around them. Looks like you might have an opponent in speed, Haku, said Zabuza. Sasuke looked back at his teammate who had not turned off his bloodline limit. Your math sucks, Hiro. There were only 5 clone, not 7. They are right behind Tazuna, insisted Hiro. Team Kakashi turned their attention to their rear and only saw Naruto and Isaribi with smirks on their faces. A second later, they dispersed. The mist began to lighten up so that they could see Zabuza and his 2 friends. I was getting tired of this farce, said Bloody Fox. This was the first time he had ever spoken in the presence of the Leaf team. His voice was familiar. A second later he moved his hand to remove his mask, allowing his enemies to see his face. He had blue eyes, blonde hair, and whisker marks on his face. He smirked at the socked faces before him. Haku did likewise. Naruto. Haku, said Sakura. How can this be? What's going on? I don't understand. You don't know how long I have dreamed of this day, said Naruto, ignoring Sakura. I thought of every possible way I could take my revenge. The ways I could make you suffer. A small piece of me wants to thank you, thought. If it hadn't been for you, I would never have become this strong. So for that, I grant you a quick death. You kill me, snickered the young Hyuga as he received looks of curiosity from his team. Don't make me laugh. It will never happen. I have the council on my side, or did you forget that? I guess you did with that puny happy-go-lucky brain of yours. The council isn't here right now. I have no reason to fear them. What's going on? Demanded Sasuke. It was plain to see that there were issues between the two of them. But how did these two know each other? From what he knew about Naruto, he was a street orphan. Hiro was a member of one of the most powerful clans. Their classes were miles apart. Yes, Naruto, said Zabuza, I would like to know as well. All you have ever said was that you wanted to pay back a Hyuga. Very well, said the blonde with a smirk. I'm not a very good storyteller, so please forgive me if I bore you. My story begins the day Kyuubi attacked the Leaf Village. The fourth was praised for defeating it. However, his victory was the cause of my suffering. You see, he couldn't destroy the Kyuubi. So he sealed it in a baby who was born on that day. Me. With that, most of the Leaf team was shocked. Sasuke couldn't believe that they had been lied to about the Kyuubi and its death. Sakura was under a similar impression. Kakashi was wondering how he found out. Hiro was the only one who wasn't shocked, as if he already knew. Tazuna was the next to speak. How could someone do that? Please don't interrupt the storyteller, said Naruto. Believe me, I asked myself that every day when I found out. But that is later in the story. I grew up without love. I was hated by the Leaf with very few exceptions. I wanted one thing, someone to notice me as more than trash on the street. When I was 4, I meet Hiro and his sister Hinata for the first time. Naruto looked up at the sky, letting old wounds resurface. I believed, from the deepest corner of my heart, that I had finally found people who could see me. Hinata was shy and nervous. Hiro seemed like he always had a lot on his mind. They showed me what it was like to play games with other children and be a normal child. I was so happy. Hinata and I began to spar. She needed help with a gentle fist, and I wanted to help her. So she taught me the basics of the style, and I helped her to the best of my ability. By teaching me, she became better. I remember her thanking me once when she had received a compliment from her father. The tear rolled down Naruto's face and fell to the ground, and he paused. Haku wanted to stop him from going any further, seeing the pain he was in. However, Zabuza placed a hand on his shoulder, stopping him. 2 years later, I stood waiting for Hinata. She was late and I began to worry. She was never late. Hiro came running up to me. He told me that Hinata would be getting the birdcage seal and would become a branch family member if I didn't do something. I trusted him and ran to where I was told to go. I wanted to get there and save Hinata from a fate I knew she feared. I was willing to do whatever it took to save her. If it meant leaving the village, so be it. When I arrived there I didn't see any sealing ritual. I was in advanced training session of the gentle fist and saw 8 trigrams 64 palms. I was discovered and accused of spying on their training. Apparently there had been evidence of someone spying of them for a while. I tried to explain, but they didn't listen or believe me. The Ashi Hyuga soon stood before me and told me to leave the villager the next day, he would kill me for being a spy. I left the village right after that. As I ran past the gate, I ran into Hiro who had a smirk on his face. He had set me up. As I accused him, he laughed at me. I still do, interrupted Hiro. I had a deal with the council. They found out that I was hanging out with you. I told them I only did it because my sister was fond of you. They told me about the fox and asked me to be a spy. I did it gladly. You see, they promised to put my name up in the future for Hokage. That is, if I could get them a reason to have you killed or banished. I thought it would be too long, you being a demon and all, but it was taking too long for my tastes. But what got me furious were Hinata's improvements. Father began to take more of an interest in her, and I could feel my position in the head family slip. So I left the indications of the spy and set you up. The council was pleased with my work. Understanding flooded Kakashi's mind as Hiro spoke. That was why the boy left in his anger towards Hiro. Perhaps he had been misinformed about the demon inside Naruto or some other reason. Kakashi didn't want to lose another teammate, no matter the reason. He decided that once they got back, he would have a long talk with the Hokage. As you told me, said Naruto, not missing a beat. So I left and headed out towards Mist Country. There I meet Haku and Isaribi and the rest is history. I was trained under Zabuza sensei till I was 8 and took the Genin exam along with him. I was placed with Zabuza sensei and he got me into the Anbu training program. Haku was sent to the Hunter Nin program and Isaribi into the medic program. Although I am technically ranked a Genin, I am as strong as a low to mid Anbu. It was mostly thanks to Zabuza-sensei who helped me learn about the demon inside of me and to use its powers. It didn't take long for someone as skilled as Zabuza-sensei to figure it out. With that, he sighed. His story was over. "Naruto," said Kakashi, "it's not too late, you could come back." "No he can't," shouted Hiro as he glared at Naruto. "I will never let that happen. If he does come back and that old fool of a Kage dismisses the fact that he is a mist shinobi, there will be problems in the clan. He will be forced to marry Hinata to keep the secrets that he learned in the clan, and she will become the clan head because she will be able to produce a heir. I will become a branch member." "Don't worry," said Naruto. "I have no intention of going back. I am perfectly happy where I am and helping Zabuza-sensei reach his goals. And don't worry about your clan. Its future is not in your hands, seeing as I will kill you today." Naruto began to walk over to a corner of the bridge. "Let's settle this," he said, not turning back. Hiro followed him so that he could silence him once and for all. After that, he would lie to the Hokage and the council would support him. Yes, it was time to settle this. "Inari, stay back," yelled Tsunade as the two men who had attacked her were now dragging her to meet their boss. Inari stood there, frozen with fear. He was going to lose his mother to Geto, just like his father. His grandfather was going to be killed. The bridge would be destroyed. All hope was lost. Then he remembered what Naruto had yelled at him. How there were people who had suffered similar or worse fates. The examples Naruto had told him about seemed personal. Had he lived through those events? If he had, how did he keep going? He had people to help him and didn't cry over every little thing. He kept going. That was what Inari was going to do now. "Stay away from my mother." With that, Inari started to charge at the two samurai in front of him. They chucked at this and knocked out Tsunade so they would have to listen to her cry. They then unsheathed their swords, ready to kill the brat. When he was in range, they prepared to strike him down when they heard a sound underneath the dock they were standing on. Two webbed hands shot out from underneath the dock and grabbed the samurai. They then began to pull down, hard. The samurai fell down as their legs were pulled down as far as the wood would allow them. Inari stopped, shocked to what he was seeing. The thugs began to scream as whatever had grabbed them continued to pull. It came down to what was stronger, them or the wood. Which would give out first? Apparently, it was the wood. The two men were pulled underneath the water, screaming all the way. Inari went over to check on his mother, who was just coming to. When she relieved she was safe, she asked what had happened to Geto's men. Inari told her and then they both looked over at the hole. The water was now red. "Looks like Naruto was right about Geto, no honor at all." "Is everyone okay?" asked a voice from behind them. The two turned around and saw Isaribi without her bandages. They looked at her with shock. Parts of her skin looked like they had been replaced by scales. "What happened to you?" asked Tsunade. "This happened a long time ago," said Isaribi with a sad smile. "I was taken from my home and used like a guinea pig in some sicko's experiments. After he was done I escaped, but I was shunned because of what he had done to me. My own family helped chase me out of my home." "I'm sorry," said Inari, tears coming down his eyes. "I thought we were the only ones who were suffering and I. "It's okay," said Isaribi. "Now I have to go to the bridge. Naruto will soon be in a lot of pain and I have to help him." "Naruto is helping us?" asked Inari. Isaribi just gave him another sad grin and transformed into her human fish form. She then jumped into the water and swam for the bridge. "Depends on your definition of helping." In an unrelated matter, Orochimaru was crying his eyes out. The book that Kabuto had given him was laid down in front of him, open to Genesis. He was wearing gloves because, for some strange reason, whenever he touched the book his hands began to burn. Why was that nice snake punished? He didn't do anything wrong. The injustice of it all. Back to Wave Country. Naruto and Hiro were walking away from the group. They were going to finish this. Kakashi, however, didn't want them to do this. Naruto had to be brought back to Leaf Village so that he could confirm his story. Hiro had to be there as well so that they could find out which members of the council had conspired against Naruto and broken the law. They both had to live. He moved to stop them, but Zabuza intercepted him. "Where are you going, Kakashi? They'll kill each other." "Well, if you can beat me, then you can stop them. Besides, he isn't your only student who is fighting." Kakashi looked over to Sasuke to see him fighting Haku. They were pairing each other's attacks at an amazing speed. Then Haku began to doing a series of one-handed signs. 1,000 flying water needles of death. Sasuke, seeing the ice needles shoot towards him, expelled a large burst of chakra from his feet and dodged the assault in the nick of time. "Impressive," commented Haku. "To reach this level in only a week is hard to imagine. A pity it is too little too late. Now I will give you a choice, give up and let me kill the old man or die." "I won't back down," said the Uchiha. "I will beat you and become stronger so I can kill my brother. Killing your own flesh and blood will bring you no peace. I should know, because I killed my father when he tried to kill me." You see, in the land of water, those with bloodline limits are hunted down and killed. My mother tried to hide and married my father, so after I was born, we were poor but very happy. If only I hadn't awakened my powers, my family would still be alive. You don't understand, I have to do this, shouted Sasuke. I have no choice. You could forgive him and move on with your life. Like Naruto. Haku paused at that. I don't approve of Naruto's actions or his lust for vengeance. But that is the path he has chosen to walk. Besides, I owe him this much after all he has done for me. Like what? You would never understand, since you have no friends. Do not deny it. It is written on your face and edged into every action you take. You have no one in this world. I will show you the strength of the difference between us. Demonic ice mirrors. With it they were surrounded by Haku's ice mirrors. Sasuke, shouted Kakashi. Well, should we finish our fight, Kakashi, said the demon of the bloody mist. By Zabuza. Why are you using children like this? Hahaha. They ceased to be children a long time ago, Kakashi. Isaribi is my water weapon with her transformation and healing abilities. Haku's ice and speed make him a powerful assignation weapon. And Naruto, well, he's the strongest out of the bunch. I never thought I'd meet the son of my sensei the way I did. What? Surprised Kakashi, well I was too. My sensei was Nodoka Uzumaki of the Uzumaki clan, the same clan that was renowned as the greatest genjutsu in history, as well as creating the 7 shinobi swordsmen. Add that to his knowledge of the gentle fist and the kyuubi inside of him, and well, you have an unstable warrior. I remember when we started training. Flashback. Here I am Zabuza sensei, cried out Naruto. Zabuza looked at his new student and saw that he was dressed just like him except for the bandages. Kid, why are you wearing that? Naruto looked a little embarrassed. Well, I never had anyone to teach me before and I think that you're a very powerful person. So I want to become more like you sensei. Kid, I'm touched. However, he began to sweat drop when he saw Naruto jump in his direction. Zabuza sensei. Naruto's face met with the bottom of Zabuza's foot. We will have none of that. Okay sensei, I won't do that again. Believe it. Never say that again either. It's annoying. Then flashback. Ever since that day, the boy has been like a sponge. Absorbing everything I could teach him and training like a madman. Will your Hyuga be able to defeat him? Over with Naruto and Hiro, they were having their own pre-fight talk. Tell me one thing Hiro, why did you admit what you did? Because the cat was out of the bag and I could use this to my advantage. Once I kill you I'll be a hero with Sakura and Sasuke here has witnesses to tell everyone. The village will love me for doing what they never could to you. And when I see the Hokage I'll give him names, but not the ones he wants. I'll give him the names of the council members who had no idea what was going on. That includes my father. With him out of the way, the clan elders will have to make me clan head. The Hokage isn't a fool. He'll figure out you're lying. You're right. He couldn't even see you as the demon you really are. And if he does, well I'll have the support of the village on my side. Killing me will cause a civil war that will lead to his downfall. I have to admit, you have thought this out pretty well. However, this is assuming you can kill me. With that, Naruto got into the gentle fist fighting position. Slowly, his features began to change. His hands became claws, his eyes became red and slit, and his whisker marks became thicker. Around his claws, red chakra began to glow. Like I'd lose to some lowly demon. Hiro also got into his fighting position. Byakugan. This is the difference between us. I can see your chakra system and your chakra points. This that he charged. The thrusts came flying by both sides. Each one a narrow miss. Naruto sent one thrust to Hiro's chest, which he dodged by leaning back at the last minute and bouncing back and attempting to strike him back. Naruto dodged this by spinning out of the way and then aiming for the shoulder. Hiro stepped back and avoided contact. Then, Hiro attempted a strike at one of Naruto's chakra points. This however was a miss that cost him dearly as Naruto sent a palm thrust that landed in the middle of Hiro's chest. Hiro was sent back several feet but didn't fall down. He looked down at his chest and saw that his shirt looked like someone had burned a large palm-shaped hole into his clothes. Hiro didn't feel any different. Looks like your style is all about show and no effect. Pitiful. Naruto only smirked at Hiro's comment. Then, Hiro felt it. Pain, unlike anything he had ever felt in his past training. He looked down and saw that his skin was swollen and charred. The effect seemed to be limited to the area he was struck at. What the hell did you do? This isn't gentle fist. You're correct Hiro. I couldn't master it the way you could do to my incomplete training. However, thanks to Kyuubi and my own dedication, I created the burning fist style which only I can use. Gentle fist sends a burst of chakra into the opponent's organs and damages them from the inside where there is no way to increase the defense. Well, I attack the largest and most unprotected tissue of the body, the skin. Each thrust will give you a third-degree burn in that location thanks to the Nine Tails chakra. Eventually, then pain will slow you down or, from the multiple strikes, you won't be able to move without your skin peeling off. You bastard. How dare you pervert the gentle fist. At that moment, a fog began to cover the bridge. For a few moments, Hiro could see anything. He activated his Byakugan once again, but couldn't see Naruto. This isn't very fun, now is it Hiro? Asked Naruto, his voice coming from every direction. Looks like Zabuza-sensei is using this mist to block Kakashi's copying powers. I guess we will have to fight like this. Over with Sakura, she watched as her sensei used himself to shield her and Tazuna from Zabuza. Things were happening much too fast for Pinky. Just this morning, she was laughing with Naruto and Isaribi, and now they were fighting each other. Zabuza, are you alright? Came Isaribi's voice from behind Sakura. Both she and the old man turned around and gasped at Isaribi in her transformed form. I'm fine. Kill that girl and then the old man. With that, Kakashi and Zabuza disappeared into the mist once more. Sakura brought up her kunai, ready to fight. Put that down, said Isaribi. You'll only hurt yourself. With that, she turned and began to watch the events occurring in front of them. Aren't you going to fight me? Asked Sakura, slightly relieved. Not now, maybe later, she relied as casually as if they were talking about the weather. Right now I'm more interested in what is happening out there, and if my team needs me I need my chakra to heal them. The Uchiha is becoming a human pincushion, and the Hyuga is staring off into space. What? Is Sasuke going to die? Depends on Haku's mood. He could be feeling merciful today. Why? Why did you pretend to be our friends? Information. This is the shinobi's lifestyle. If you can't handle that and you live after this day, then I suggest you quit. You are of no use. Back to Naruto and Hiro. Where are you? Come out here, you stupid demon. Hiro would have kept going, but the touch of Naruto's hand around his neck silenced him. He was behind him. Is it a good thing to insult your executioner? With that, Naruto let go and went back into the mist. The blind spot, said Hiro as his skin began to feel the effects of Naruto's attack. Yes, I really must thank Hinata for telling me about your clan's blind spot. As long as I stand within it, I'm very well hidden. Back in Leaf Village, Hinata let out a sneeze. Is someone talking about me? Could it be BN Naruto? She wondered aloud. She then walked across her family's compound to her room. She then opened her closet and turned on the light. The light shone on a small worshipping area that was dedicated to her first and only love, Naruto. On this shrine, there were locks of hair, old chewed gum, a bust, and some of his old clothes that she found. She sat down and began her 4-hour staring ritual. She's got it real bad, huh? Back to the bridge. Now to finish this little farce. And, thanks to my silent killing training, you'll never see it coming. 8 trigram 64 bombs. 2. Suddenly, Hiro felt 2 strikes at 2 of his chakra points. 4, 8, 16, 32, 64. Hiro could feel pain at all the points, but the flow was not stopped. Naruto had done something else. What have you done to me? Surprised. Well, despite what you believe, there are 2 ways to know where all the chakra points are. The first is with the Byakugan, and the other is to use a book. Medics have studied the human body for centuries and have discovered the locations of the points. They can be seen with the naked eye, however, which makes it difficult to attack them during combat. I trained with dummies for 2 years until I could strike a person's chakra points effortlessly. As to what I did, I sent 64 small spike of Kyuubi's chakra into your chakra points. However, like the name suggests, they will soon explode from the inside. The result will behave. You ever seen Armageddon? Suddenly Naruto heard rock explode in the direction of Zabuza and Kakashi. A few seconds later, he heard the sound of birds. A lot of them. Zabuza-sensei, whispered Naruto. Get him, cried Hiro, who had tears streaming down his face. You won't let your best friend die. I'm sorry, I was just confused. I was young, I didn't know any better. Come on, I know you, you big knucklehead. You believe in mercy, right? Naruto brought up his hand and prepared to snap his finger. No, said Naruto as he snapped his finger. Boom. With that, Hiro Hyuga was no more. One part of the old me is now dead, said Naruto as he began to walk away. There is still one more that needs to join it for me to move on. Zabuza-sensei, I'm coming. The scene. The studio. Sessamaru has tied up the audience so that they can't complain about what I am going to do before the fanfic can start. Lol. Hi everyone. I hope you are all comfortable. In the last 5 chapters, I have gotten more than 70 reviews. Naruto. Ninja of the Sand has the same amount, but it has 11 chapters. I guess people like Haku more than Gaara. Oh, where are my manners? My name is Darthalgav and I am here to talk to you about the creation of this story and answer some questions that have been popping up. When I first started, I planned on having Naruto dressed up like Haku and only being able to do water clones. Then he would go back to Leaf, there was no hero, and so on. Yeah, I know, sucked. Then, I read a Battle Angel. Last Order manga and thought about Kurzbombekunst. Placing invisible explosives on your opponent and controlling when they went off sounded like an awesome jutsu. But, how to know where to place it? That's where the Hyuga clan came in. Then I thought, why not make Naruto into a mini-me version of zabuza like Lee and Guy? That night, while I slept, it all came to me. That was before the dancing camels and the naughty stuff with women I don't dare name for fear that they will find me. I was great, wink, wink. In the future, we will be going to the Chunin exams. How, you ask? I'll tell you at the end of the chapter. Now for the questions. No, this is not a dark Naruto story. Just because he killed the asshole who betrayed his trust does not mean he is evil. If he was, I would have had him do an Itachi and kill the whole clan. Let's see, what else do we have? Oh, yeah. To Naruto 21. Hell no, this is not a Naruto Hinata story. He has isaribi. She is there for a reason you will find out later. Sorry for yelling. Now, some of you are complaining about the short chapters. I am doing it on purpose because I can update faster and it helps with the suspense. Oh, HOLYKNIGHT5, thank you for the award. However, I don't know what it's for. I hope it's for most original way to kill an asshole. One more thing. If you all like gender-confused cross-dresser, then you and my other fanfic is for you. I didn't do that on purpose. Right now, in that story there is a poll going on to decide if I should do wave with Naruto, Gaara, and Temari or skip it. If they go, Haku lives and goes to Sand Village with them. If not, then Gaara goes on a date. Let me know what you think. Well, I can see some of you have chewed through your ropes, so on with the story. Flashback. Get him, cried Hiro who had tears streaming down his face. You won't let your best friend die. I'm sorry, I was just confused. I was young, I didn't know any better. Come on, I know you big knucklehead. You believe in mercy, right? Naruto brought up his hand and prepared to snap his finger. In that moment, the world turned black for Naruto. There was nothing below him and nothing above. Only he existed in the void. Then, before him, stood himself as a 6-year-old boy. Please don't do it, cried the boy. This isn't right. He was our friend and he just said sorry. Let go and maybe we can go back home. Never, said Naruto. I have come too far to let go of the chance. They saw me as nothing but a monster. So I will be a monster. His younger version looked down. What about the old man? Will he not miss us the way we used to be? Will he not be ashamed of what we have become? You still care about him and Hinata. No, said Naruto as he snapped his finger. Boom. With that, Hiro Hyuga was no more. One part of the old me is now dead, said Naruto as he began to walk away. There is still one more that needs to join it for me to move on. Zabuza-sensei, I'm coming. Then flashback. Haku began to hear the sounds of birds. He sensed a large burst of chakra that went with it. However, his own reserves were almost gone. The Uchiha had activated his bloodline limit and had been dodging very well. But, like Haku, he was also low on chakra. Haku decided to launch one last barrage against him and in an instant, Sasuke was showed by Senbons. Haku had not killed him but only knocked him out. Isaribi was relaying what was happening to the two non-fighters. Her eyes had been altered by the experiments so that she could see in even the densest fog. When she said that Sasuke fell, Sakura ran for him with knowing what happened to Hiro. She lacks much, said Isaribi as she turned to Tazuna. Are you going to kill me now? She looked at him with a smirk. I could, seeing as your bodyguard left her post. But, right now I have more important things. Like helping all of my teammates. With that she went to help Haku who was suffering from minor chakra depletion. Naruto ran to where he had heard Zabuza and Kakashi fighting. Seeing that the mist was fading fast was a bad sign. He had to make it there in time. To him, Zabuza meant more that Raymond and Isaribi combined. He stopped in shock as he saw Kakashi's hand in Zabuza's side. On the ground was the Zanbato, the Kubikiri Haucho. Zabuza-sensei, he shouted as he ran towards his sensei. Naruto was able to catch him as he fell off the arm that had supported him. Don't worry sensei, he said. I'll make sure you get out of here. In a week you'll be good as new. Just hold on. Kid, said Zabuza in a weak voice, don't be a fool. I won't last more than a few minutes, even with a medicure right now. Now, time to do my last ask as your sensei. As he said this Isaribi and Haku, who was being carried by her, slowly walk over. Kakashi just watched. You have all made me proud. You all overcame more hatred than I ever had to deal with. You are the best Pioplasomian like me could ever know. Naruto, I want you to take them back to Mist. Show them what a real shinobi is, not those pussy Crimea river types. Also, I pass on my title as a legendary swordsman to you. Don't speak, I have little time left. Only you can use the Kubikiri Haucho the way it was meant to be used. Your mother gave it to me before she left Mist. It only feels right that I give it to her son. Now, do what you have to do." At this, Naruto's eyes widened. He knew what Zabuza was asking him to do. The only way to return to Mist with the Kubikiri Haucho and not draw suspicion. He went over and picked up the sword with one hand, much to the shock of Kakashi. He then stood over Zabuza with the blade raised. Then, in a sudden motion, he cut off Zabuza's head. It would be the proof that he was dead and that they had caused his death. Haku and Isaribi began to cry at this. Naruto's face was hidden as it was lowered to the ground. Tazuna was watching all of this. He couldn't understand why the boy had done this. Was it because he wanted to end the man's pain, or was he heartless? If this was the ninja life, they could keep it for all he cared. It was then, they all heard footsteps. "So, that fool Zabuza is dead. Thanks for saving me the trouble," said Gato. In front of him is a small army of thugs. "I was going to kill him later anyways. Pity he couldn't kill the old man before his death. What a weak and puny devil he turned out to be." With that, he and his men began to laugh like there was no tomorrow. As they laughed, Naruto slowly reached behind his back for his mask and put it back on. He then turned to face Gato's army. "Shut up," he shouted. "If anything, you should be mourning his death." "Now why, oh why should I do that?" sneered Gato as his men began to laugh again. "Because, he was the one who kept you safe from me." With that, he placed the sword of his shoulder and began to run towards the army. The goons saw this, and a few in front began to prepare for a small fight. Gato stood there, confident that a kid couldn't beat all his men. What they didn't know was that Naruto hadn't used any of his chakra. He wasn't even fazed by his fight with Hiro. In a sudden motion, Naruto placed the Kubikiri Haucho against his chest and then began to spin like a top. He went right into the mob, slicing through them like they were nothing. "What is that?" asked an astonished Kakashi. "Uzumaki style. Tornado blade," explained Haku. A kinjutsu move of the Uzumaki clan that causes them to spin at an incredible rate by pushing out chakra from a foot placed in a certain position. The spinning adds to the power of the sword and makes it difficult to get close enough to fight back. By shifting his body weight, he can control the direction. The attack continued as Naruto mowed down Gato's forces. Their insides launching out of their bodies as his blade hit them. When he finally stopped, there were only 5 people left, including Gato. Naruto just stood there for a few moments and then he slowly began to walk towards Gato. "Go now," shouted Gato, who looked panicked. He's tired now." "No, don't do it," said an old swordsman who looked to be about 60. "Why not, old man?" said another. "When I was only a youth, I saw a battle being raged. Then, I saw that very same jutsu used by a few men who mowed down half of the enemy's forces. Then they kept going. They were like monsters." "Shut you trap old." He never got to finish that sentence as he realized that Bloody Fox was standing right in front of him. "Please don't kill me. I'll pay you whatever you want." Naruto placed his hand on Gato's shoulder, the one that still had an arm, while the other held onto his blade. "Gato," he said, "money doesn't interest me. Why would I desire something that everyone has? The only thing that it can give you is headaches and disappointments. There is no pride in money. Then only thing I desire is something that can't be given, only earned. Think about that in the afterlife while you and Zabuza sensei have a nice long chat." With that, the Kubikiri Haucho went into Gato's chest. "Now dead off my sword, asshole." With a sudden motion, he launched Gato's body off his sword and into the water, dead. Haku, during the massacre, had taken the remains of Zabuza and was gone. Isaribi ran to her boyfriend and held him tightly. "He would have been proud of you," she said in a low voice only he could hear. "Naruto," said Kakashi. "I think it's time you came with me. You have an appointment with the Hokage." "No," was the reply. "I belong to the Mist, now and forever. Now you are as tired as I am now. Besides, you have to scrape Hiro off the bridge." Kakashi turned to look for Hiro, wondering what had happened to him. He then saw the remains that looked like someone had forced him to eat some exploding tags. When he turned around, Naruto and Isaribi were gone. "Are we late?" said Inari as he and the villagers had finally appeared to do something. The next day, Orochimaru had done what many people do when they start reading a new book. He went to the last chapter, Revelations, and liked what he read. He quickly called in the Sound 5 to his office. "I have called you all here to tell you something very important." He points to the Bible. "I have found the key to defeating the Leaf." "What?" said the redhead. "Are we going to preach them to death?" "No, we are going to talk in biblical verse," he said with a grin. "It'll add to our evilness. The rivers will run deep in the blood of the innocent as the fangs of the snake strike out at the people who once caged him." Stuff like that. The 5 of them just stood there, staring. They all believed that he had finally lost his mind. The next day. "How long is he going to stand there?" complained Isaribi. "Naruto has been standing there for 2 days straight." "Give him time," said Haku gently. "He needs time." Over by the grave they had dug for Zabuza's body, Naruto was just getting ready to say his goodbyes. "Zabuza-sensei, I couldn't cry in front of you for fear that you would be ashamed of me if I did. You were like a father to me. The first person who believed that I had worth and could amount to something. You showed me my family history and told me about my mother, your former sensei. I will honor your memory and stop those fools running our village who are making our forces soft. When that day happens, I will be able to place flowers on your grave. If I don't, it'll be because I am in the same place as you. I don't mind that at all." With that, Naruto walked away to his teammates, ready to return to the mist. Their time in Wave was over. "You're naming it what?" The shouting of Sakura could be heard for miles. "Yes, we are naming it the Great Naruto Bridge. After all, he killed Geto and his men. Despite the other things he did, I will think of him as a hero for what he lived through in your village and never giving up." With that, Dazuna walked away from the Leaf Ninjas. Their time in Wave was over. It was a week after the battle at the bridge and Naruto and his team were on a new mission. According to sources, most of the leaders against the daimyo were going to be having a meeting in a small town to decide their long-term battle plans. The Mizukage had ordered Naruto and his teammates to eliminate them quickly. After that, bring back their war plans to the Mist Village. Naruto came up with a very interesting idea. "Welcome to the grand opening of the Wildflower Brothel and Strip Joint," yelled Naruto in front of a building he had rented. He had used a genjutsu on it to make it appear more like the kind of joint he was claiming it to be. "Today only, all people fighting against that asshole daimyo get in free." That caught everyone's attention. It's a funny thing, war. Lots of men together all the time and no women. Being away from the girl you love. What a guy won't do to take the edge off after, I don't know, years of inactivity. Soon, there was a line at the door as general, sergeants, and soldiers were standing in line. They all caught a glimpse of one of the girls, in reality, Haku, they would be seeing. Naruto was at the front door, checking their ids. "Son," said one of the general, "aren't you a little young for this?" "Well, a guy's got to start somewhere. I mean, I can't keep traveling around forever," said Naruto with a foxy grin. "Wait," said another guy, "I know who that is. It's Naruto Uzumaki. He goes around making deliveries from people. Just ask him to get you something and he will. He helped me out when I needed a new pair of pants." Naruto chuckled at that. Part of the reason was that he was glad no one knew about his real job. The other was remembering the mission he was assigned at that time. It was a simple espionage mission, and the fool gave him everything he needed and more. No one ever suspected Naruto of being a spy. He was too loud for the job, and the fact he was short fooled people into thinking he was younger than he really was. As the last of the people entered, Naruto closed the door and blotted it shut. He then reached into his jean pocket, he's wearing his civilian outfit, and took out his communicator. "You two ready?" he asked. "Just about," replied Isaribi. "Why do I have to do this?" cried Haku. "Because bandages and scales aren't a turn on to most guys," said Naruto. "Now let's start the show." With that, Naruto put away his communicator and went into the main hall. "Welcome to the grand opening," said Naruto once he got on stage. The men cheered. "Now, meet the lovely Haku." Naruto then quickly got off stage as the music started to play. Haku came out dressed in his pink outfit and twirled on stage. All the perverts were drawn to him, thinking what most people think when they see him. Haku kept dancing for a few moments till he saw Isaribi give him the signal that everything was all set. He reached into his shirt and got the excitement of all the men. They were surprised when he pulled out a gas mask. A few seconds later they heard a whizzing sound and everything went dark. It didn't take long for the three of them to check the bodies and find the plans. 2 days later in Leaf, the Hokage was talking to Kakashi about his mission. At the first mention of Naruto, the old man's heart soared. He had believed the boy to be dead, but now he had hoped that he would see him once again. That hope dissipated quickly as the story continued when he heard about who had taken in Naruto and the conspiracy of Hiro and the council. Then he heard about the death of Hiro and Naruto's actions after Zabuza's death. "It would seem, Kakashi, that there is nothing we can do about the council now." "What do you mean?" "We have no proof other than your words. If either boy had come back with you, we could have gotten to the bottom of this." At this, the Jonin was silent. He cursed himself for the fact he was unable to do anything to help Hiro. No matter what he had done in his past, he was still a teammate and a Leaf shinobi. Then he remembered what Zabuza had said to him. "What do you know about the Uzumaki clan?" asked Kakashi. "Well, you are too young to remember them," replied the Hokage. "To give you a full understanding of them, we need to go back before the formation of the 5 great nations. Back then, all villages were small by comparison and some clans roamed free. The Uzumaki clan was one of them. They combined samurai sword skills with the ones of the shinobi. They were also incredible swordsmiths, the best anyone could find. Once the formation of the great nations began, they decided to stay where they were, in water country. At the beginning, they supplied the village with weapons like kunai and shuriken. Then, about a year after the formation of the village, there was an attack on the village by another who desired to take their place. 700 shinobi were about to attack the village, but before they reached their target, they were stopped by 7 of the stronger members of the Uzumaki clan. These 7 took out the army and started the legend of the 7 shinobi swordsmen. "So, how did Naruto get here and what happened to the clan?" asked Kakashi. "Sadly, there was a plague that hit their clan. Very few survived. The last surviving member left the village that held so many of her memories to find a degree of peace. Perhaps she thought it was retribution for all the lives the clan had taken or something to that effect. The only thing I know for sure is that she arrived here shortly before the Kyuubi attacked and was in labor. The rest you already know." Kakashi nodded. "So what will we do now about Naruto?" asked Kakashi. "We can't let what he did go unpunished." "I am sorry Kakashi, but he is not a citizen of this village anymore. He is a shinobi of the mist and fought with a shinobi of the leaf. We cannot punish foreign shinobi. However, I hope to bring him back." "How?" asked Kakashi, his single eye growing big. "That is my secret. Now you will need a new member for your team." 2 days later, Naruto and friends were just arriving in Mist Village. Despite what people thought of the village, it wasn't half bad. People were starving in the streets and killing each other like bloodthirsty monsters. The village was quiet and was designed with canals instead of streets. As they walked towards the Mizukage's tower, they ran accused the remaining 4 swordsmen of the village. The first one was Kamitari Honjo, who wielded a gama. Then there was Jikatsu who wielded a snake blade. Then there was Zangulus with his howling sword. Shigeru, with his circular blade, was last. "Hey there," called out Kamitari. "How did your mission go?" "Way too easy," said Naruto. "These idiots were so easy a genin could do it." "I believe that's the reason they sent you," said Shigeru in a serious tone. "Yeah," agreed Jikatsu. "You 3 are still genins. When are you 3 going to advance?" "Shut up," yelled Naruto as he grabbed his head. "It's not our fault." "Naruto is right," said Isaribi. "We have been very busy and have not had time to do the exams. Now if you will excuse us, we have to speak to the Mizukage about the mission." "We have to go as well," said Zangulus. "See you around." With that, the 4 of them left. "Why can't I get on that team?" moaned Naruto as they walked toward the tower. "I'm a good swordsman and they have 3 openings." "Naruto," said Haku firmly, "you have to be at least Chunin to get on the 7 shinobi swordsmen. Just wait for the next time we are free for the exam, and we'll do it." "I don't know what the big deal is," said Isaribi as she leaned closer to Naruto. "If you do that, you'll have less time to spend with me." At this, Naruto's face turned bright red. They were soon checked into the tower by the guards and were sent into the Mizukage's office. The Mizukage was a fat man, to say the least. He made people like Dale the Whale, monk reference, look skinny. Add to that he was lazy, couldn't leave the office, and wanted to change the traditions of the village like the graduation exam. And people wondered why Zabuza wanted to take over. "Ah, good you're bad," he said as he put down his pudding. "Now, give me your report." "The mission was completed," said Naruto. 66 rebels have been eliminated and we have their battle plans. It also contains information on their hideouts, bases, and other detailed information. We took the liberty of leaving it with the Anbu before we came to see you." "Very well done," said the Mizukage as he took a bite of a cookie. "Now, I have something to tell you 3. Yesterday, I received a message for the Hokage concerning Naruto. He apparently wants to trade for him." "What?" they all cry out. "Yes, I was surprised by that as well." "They can't do that," said Naruto. "I am a citizen of this village now. Back there they treated me like shit and now after 6 years want me back. I don't get it." There was silence in the room until Haku spoke. "What is their reason and what are they offering?" "Glad you asked. The reason is that Naruto was born in their village and thus his citizenship there takes priority. Also, the fact that his mother chose to leave Mist tells them that it was her wish that Naruto not be raised in this village. Now to what they are offering, assistance in this civil war. This could save hundreds of lives and end the war in our favor," said Isaribi quietly. She turned to Naruto and saw the look of utter devastation in his eyes. They were once again taking away everything that made him happy and caring nothing about what he felt. Isaribi clenched her fists. "Now, what with all the long faces?" asked the Mizukage. "Do you really think I'll give them Naruto who is the last of the Uzumaki clan? I think not." This news brought smiles to the 3 genins. "But this does give us an opportunity for a mission I had saved for another team. You see, once it was decided that the Leaf Village would hold the next Chunin exam, the Cloud came to us with information of an invasion that their spies had discovered. They saw this as a chance to collect something there that they wanted, but can't since the Leaf will be on high alert with them in regard to this. So, they want us to collect it for them." "What do they want?" asked Isaribi. It was Naruto who answered. "The Hyuga." "That is correct," said the Mizukage. "They want one female from the main house of the clan so that they can gain the secrets of their bloodline limit. If we accept the mission, they will help us, and if it is completed they will give us their demon container." Naruto's eyes grew wide at this information. His emotions were a mix. On one hand, he didn't want to hurt the Hinata. On the other hand, the chance to meet a fellow vessel like himself and have him or her live in the same village was an amazing opportunity. "They think that a Hyuga is worth that much?" asked Haku. "Well, there are a few other things that they want. Like Naruto giving them lessons in the gentle fist style. I think the reason they want this is because they are looking at things down the road. A long-term plan if you will. Their vessel won't be around forever and they need better insurance for the future." "Here is your mission," said the Mizukage. "I will inform the Hokage that you will be going using the exam to make up your mind on where you want to live. You will take the Chunin exam and wait for the invasion to start. Once it begins, you will abduct a Hyuga and bring her to the Cloud Village." Dismissed. Back with Orochimaru. The snake was about to enter the building once again. "Are you sure you want to do this?" asked Taiya. Orochimaru nods and steps into the church only to burst into flames a second later. He begins to roll around screaming in pain. Taiya finds some water and splashes it on him. "Ah, it burns," cried Orochimaru. "I shouldn't have used holy water," she said as she sweat drops. Later that night Naruto was on top of his family's castle looking at the moon. That's right, castle. It was a design similar to that of other Japanese castles, but a bit smaller. Only 5 stories tall. But that's not the point right now, is it? Naruto was on the roof, holding his sword up, this one hand next to the moon. His mind was a mix of emotions and old memories that had long since been forgotten. The mission had been issued and he had to do it. But did he want to? Did he want to stay behind and help in the invasion or stop it? Part of him wanted to see all the people who made his life hell suffer. But there were people in that village that had never done anything or didn't know any better. Was it right for them to die? "Hey, you look weird," said Isaribi as she appeared next to him. She sat down next to him and began to hug her legs. "I just have a lot on my mind," said Naruto as he put down his sword. "I bet. You're finally going to be able to go home." "This is my home," said Naruto with a hint of annoyance. She looked down at her feet of a moment. And let out a sigh. She too had a lot on her mind. She was afraid that Naruto might decide to stay in Leaf and pick up where he left off. She was afraid that she would lose him forever when he saw Hinata again. She decided to voice her concerns. "So, you'll finally get to see her again?" "Boo?" he asked. "Hinata. I can tell that you want to." "We were friends once," said Naruto with a sigh. "But a lot can happen in 6 years. Besides, whether or not I want to see her is a moot point. We are assigned to kidnap her and take her to Cloud." "But," she started, but Naruto interrupted her. "If you are worried that I'll leave you for her, you're crazy. If there was anything between us, it would never work out. Not after I killed her brother. Besides," he said turning to face her, "she's nowhere near as cute as you." She smiled at that and gave him a nice long kiss. "On another note, there will be another voting. It will be for my next fanfic. I have so many ideas. So please help me decide." Time travel. Naruto and Sasuke's fight at the Valley of the End creates a hole in time and space. When Naruto wakes you, he is meet with the legendary 3 when they were his age. Naruto x Tsunade. Rin couldn't take losing Obito. She asked the 4th to seal her way so that she could be alone for a long while. Pity he died and she was left in the Forbidden Scroll till Naruto came along. Naruto Rin. The future is hell. 2 people travel back in time to meet their fathers and prepare them for what is to come. They are Naruto's daughter and Gaara's son. Starts at the beginning of the Chunin exams. Crossovers. I'm sick of Kyuubi always being sealed in Naruto. What if Ryoko had attacked the village in Ryooki and was sealed inside Naruto? Naruto harem. One day, 4 strangers enter the Leaf Village, completely lost. They were heading west, but got turned around. Then, they meet Naruto and things change for him. Meet him where he returns with the skills and powers he learns for the cast of Sayuki. No pairing yet. The final battle takes place in Leaf Village as Sasuke and Naruto fight to decide the future. But somehow they are sent to another dimension called El Hazard. Can Naruto stop Sasuke from destroying this world like he was doing in theirs? Naruto, Haku, and Isaribi walked past the front gate of the hidden Leaf Village with less problems than they expected. Well, than what Naruto expected at least. They were wearing their fighting outfits like they had when on the bridge. Haku in his hunter nin uniform, Isaribi in her blue dress, and Naruto wearing the zabuza look. "Bold, you stop fidgeting," said an annoyed Haku. "I can't help it," said Naruto. "I keep expecting an ambush to happen at any moment." Then, in a swirl of leaves, the Hokage and several Anbu appeared in front of the Mist Nins. "Naruto," said the Hokage, "it's nice to see you again." Same to you, old man, said Naruto as he put on his fake smile. He hadn't had to put it on since he left this village, but some things a person just doesn't forget. Haku and Isaribi noticed it immediately. Thank you for greeting us, said Haku, who politely bowed before the third. It was my pleasure, he replied as he turned back to Naruto. Look how you have grown. I can't believe it's been 6 years. How have you been? I'd be fine, Gramps. I found everything I ever needed and found people who were willing to accept me. That part made the Hokage wince a bit. He had tried to get people to accept Naruto, but things rarely ever go as planned. He had failed his student Orochimaru, and then he failed Naruto. The Hokage was about to say something, but an Anbu spoke up. Lord Hokage, we should be returning to the tower for the meeting. Yes, you are right. I hope to speak with you later, Naruto. With that they disappeared. Naruto began to continue walking, but stopped when he realized that his teammates weren't moving. What? He asked them. What was that about? Demanded Isaribi. He seemed like a nice old guy and you say that to him. The poor old guy looked like he was about to cry. Naruto said nothing for a while. He tried to think of something he could tell them to make them understand. He had finally found some happiness in his life and the old man was trying to take it away from him so he wouldn't feel guilty. That was how Naruto felt about this. Then there was the fact that he was once again in the place of his torment. The place where he had been starved, beaten, and treated like a thing. Being here didn't put him in his best mood. I guess I vented a bit too much, he said at last. I'll apologize later. You better, she said as she walked over to him. Don't worry. I never break my word. Back at the tower, the Hokage was confirming which of the current genin will be taking the exam this year. To his surprise, all 3 of the rookie teams were nominated. Lord Hokage, I must object to this, said Iruka. They are you green for this exam? It is not your place to question the decision, said the Hokage. You are no longer their teacher. I know you care for them, but you must put aside your personal feeling on this matter. Yes sir, said the defeated Chunin. The rest of the meeting took place without any other instances. When they were leaving, Hiashi Hyuga entered the room. I have heard that Uzumaki has returned, he said. This caused the room to become silent. Very, very silent. Yes, he has. Is there a problem? Asked the old man. That demon killed my son. He should be killed on the spot. No. He is here for the exam, and you know what will happen if he is killed by someone other than an examen. It would start up a war. Perhaps we wouldn't be having this little chat if you hadn't taken it upon yourself to banish the boy. Hiashi remained silent. The Hokage had questioned him about Naruto shortly after the report from Kakashi had been summated. Hiashi admitted that he had banished Naruto, but refused to believe that his son had any part in it. They glared at each other and then finally, the Hyuga left. So, what should we do first? Asked Haku. Why are you asking me? Complained Naruto as they turned a corner. Well, you know this place better than we do. A nice trip down memory lane. Where to first? Maybe where I was beaten, tied it up, and used as a pinata by some drunks. Sorry, said Haku quietly. No, sighed Naruto. I'm sorry, I snapped again. He would have said more, but he heard a voice several yards in front of them. Watch where you are going, said a guy in black pajamas. Sorry, he heard Sakura say. We were playing and not watching where we were going. Stop it, Kankuro, said a blonde girl. Sorry, but I don't like these little kids. Seeing them makes me want to kill them. Before he could do anything else, Naruto grabbed the handle of his blade and rushed at him. Kankuro stopped in mid-swing when he felt a blade press against the back of his head. He gulped in fear. How big of you picking on little kids? I guess that's the best anyone can expect of a sand nin, said Naruto in a cold voice. Kankuro put the kid down. Sasuke jumped out of the tree he had been hiding in and looked at Naruto in anger. He was getting ready to make a big entrance and amaze everyone with his skill, and this loser messes it up. Sakura was angry as well that he was making her Sasuke look bad. Naruto noticed this. I take it those angry looks are because I killed a teammate of yours, he said as he slowly lowered his sword. Or at least I hope so. I hate to think that it was something trivial like an egomaniac's image. He gave them a grin. You interest me, came a voice from the tree Sasuke had been in. Ara, said the person called Kankuro with fear. Kankuro, you are an embarrassment to our village, said the person named Gaara. Sorry, was all he had to say. Gaara disappeared in a whirlwind of sand and appeared next to Naruto. They stared at each other for a few moments. I am Gaara of the desert, he finally said. Naruto Uzumaki. Also known as Bloody Fox, said Naruto with a grin. He then held up his hand to shake Gaara's. When he didn't respond, Naruto simply grabbed his hand and shook it. That's what you're supposed to do when you meet someone. I see. You seem to know those leaf nins. Are they noteworthy? Nope. Pinky has no skills, and Mr. Anger is just an Uchiha. Nothing special about them. With that, Naruto and his team began to walk away with the sand trio. What do you mean just in a Uchiha? We are the best in this village. Say that again when you are able to do something original, shouted Naruto as he continued to walk away. Wait, yelled Sakura. When they stopped she continued. Why are you here? Foreign shinobi aren't allowed in other hidden villages unless they have permission. You are correct, said Haku politely. We are here for the Chunin exams. What? Shouted Sasuke. He would have said more, but they had left. Later they checked into a hotel where all of the other shinobi were staying for the exams. In the next room, a group of grass nins, really Orochimaru and the Sound 4, were settling in. Orochimaru turned on the TV to watch one of his favorite shows. You can do it, Paka, said the famous Snake Sannin. You can get that kiss. Go, do it for love. The others in the room sweat dropped. The next day, the Mist Shinobi went to the Leaf Academy, where the exam was to take place. When they arrived, they saw a large group trying to get into a room on the second floor. Haku, asked Isaribi, what floor is the exam taking place on? The third, came his reply. With a nod, they left the group to figure this out as Team Guy appeared on the scene. In the exam room, they quickly found a corner and stayed there. A few moments later, Team 7 came into the room with some black-haired guy with a paintbrush. Must be the new member of their team, thought Naruto. Hey, how did you guys manage to get in? Came a loud voice from a guy with a dog sitting on his head. Don't bother Sasuke, said two girls in unison. Man, we're all here. How troublesome. Where is Hiro? I haven't seen him around lately. He's dead, said Sasuke in an expressionless voice. I would suggest you all keep it down, said a guy with glasses and silver hair. This must be your first time. Yes, so what about it, said Sasuke. Well, I'll give you a hand, this being my 7th time taking this exam and all. This year I have an edge. These are my info cards. They contain information on the different villages, topics, and people who are taking this exam. Got anyone you want to know about? Rock Lee of the Leaf, Gaara of the Desert, and Naruto Uzumaki of the Mist. When Hinata heard that last part she gasped. He was back and she might be able to see him again. That's no fun, you know their names. First is Rock Lee. According to this he has done 20 D ranked missions, as well as 12 C ranked. He specializes in Taijutsu, and his other skills are unknown. This is his first time taking the exam. Next is Gaara of the Desert. 8 C's and even a B, and he has never been hurt in any mission. That's all I have on him. Last is Naruto Uzumaki. Wow, he has done several A ranked missions, and he is only a genin in rank. He is every good in Taijutsu, Ninjutsu, and Kinjutsu. Wow, there are a lot of amazing people taking this exam, said Sakura. Yeah, we have the Mist taking the exam for the first time in a while. Also the newly formed Sound Village, but don't worry about them too much. They aren't too important. The trio from Sound didn't like that last comment and decided to do something about it. They moved quickly, launching an attack on Kabuto. Add this to your notes, brat, said the mummy man as he got ready to launch his attack in the air. However, it never came. The genin of Leaf looked surprised as they saw the Sound Nin get kneed in the chest by a blonde wearing a mist forehead protector on the side of his head. Don't get too worked up, said Naruto. The exam hasn't even begun. What happened to that a ninja should never lose control of his emotions bit. I'm waiting, Mr. Mummy. Said person was gasping for air. He turned to his teammates only to see Kin with a senbon pressed against her neck by Haku, and Zaku was in a full Nelson by Isaribi. Thank you for the help, said Kabuto. No problem, replied Naruto. The other genin were amazed at his speed with a Zanbato on his back. Then there was a reaction they didn't expect. Then Naruto, is that you? Asked Hinata with tears in her eyes. Said boy looked at her. Damn, she grew up nicely. It's been a while, Hinata, was all he said. Before any more could be said, several jonins appeared. That's enough, maggots. Fighting will not be tolerated unless we say so. Try this again and you will be failed. Naruto looked at this man and blinked. I have seen this guy before, but where? A few moments later they were all seated for the written portion. Alright, I'll go over the questions once and there will be no questions. The exam will have 10 questions. You will start out with 10 points, and for every question you get wrong, you will lose 1 point. If you are caught cheating, you will lose 2 points. Caught cheating 3 times and you fail automatically. Also, this test will be taken as a team. If one of you fails, you all fail. The 10th question will be given at the last 15 minutes. The test was given out and was quickly begun. Naruto looked over the exam and tried to decide what to do. He closed his eyes and remembered what he was taught. Flashback. Naruto had asked Zabuza what he should do when he was faced with an impossible task. There is no such thing, kid, replied his sensei. Just because you can see the answer doesn't mean it's not there. Figure out what you know and look at the situation from all angles. If that doesn't work, then you lose. Then flashback. Naruto opened his eyes and went over the information that he knew. He was given a test with questions any shinobi would have problems with. They were taking it as a team. If you got caught then you only lost 2 points. That's it, he realized. They weren't testing them on knowledge, but information gathering. Haku and Isaribi had also gathered this, and with the ice mirrors, Haku gathered the information and relayed it to his teammates. Soon, the 15-minute marker came up. Alright, time for the last question. However, there are special rules to it. First, you have the option of not taking it. If you choose that, you fail. If you take the question and miss it, you get an automatic 0 and are banned from ever taking this exam ever again. That's bogus, shouted the dog boy. There are others here who have taken this exam before. That's true, but I wasn't in charge before. Now I am, and I'm making the rules. It's just your unlucky break. Soon several teams were dismissed due to fear. Anyone else? He asked. That was when Naruto slammed his fist onto the desk. Hey, just give us the damn question already. Are you sure? You might be stuck as a genin for the rest of your life. If I didn't have confidence in myself, then I wouldn't be taking this test. I'm not going to back down just because there is a possibility that I might fail. So give us the question and shut your trap. Ibiki noticed that everyone else had been encouraged by his words and were standing their ground. To say he was impressed was an understatement. He had never met anyone who could dispel the fear he placed in others with such ease. Very well then, he said and paused for a few seconds. Everyone in this room passes. What? Cried several people. I will explain. As many of you figured out, the purpose of this test was not to see what you knew, but how well you could gather information. To supply you with correct answers, several people were placed in the room as your targets. Then, it was up to share this information with your teammates. Okay, we get that, said the blonde sand nin. So what was the deal with the 10th question? In the world of the shinobi, you will be given many difficult tasks like the one I gave you. When you get them, will you be able to say no because you don't have enough information? The answer is no. As Chunin, you will be placed in many difficult situations and will have to think on your feet and will not be able to say no to them. The last question was to test your resolve. I congratulate you all on passing the first test. The celebration was short-lived as a large bowl came in through the window and out popped Anko behind a banner. Alright maggots, no time to celebrate. I am Anko and will be the proctor for the second test. Follow me. Everyone just sweat dropped. Isaribi and Haku were wondering if she was somehow related to Naruto. Naruto looked like he was thinking very hard. You're early, said Ibiki. 28 teams, you're getting soft, she replied. Maybe we just have a more talented crop this year. I doubt that. Don't worry, I'll cut them in half. Now I remember, shout Naruto. I saw you two in the park one night 7 years ago. In the park 7 years ago, thought Ibiki. Aw shit, he saw us. What are you talking about, loser, said Sasuke. Let's say I saw a very memorable show, he said with a grin towards Sasuke. Then he turned back towards Anko and Ibiki. I think the chains and candles were a bit much. Alright, said a beet-red Anko. Let's go and start the next exam. The genin teams arrive at an area that was named the Forest of Death. It seemed fitting, in a strange way. Looking into the tree line, there was only blackness, and the strange noises that came out of it sent chills into the most seasoned shinobi. Alright maggots, cried Anko. This is where you will be taking the second part of the exam. It will be an extreme survival test. Each one of you will be getting a scroll. There are Earth and Heaven scrolls. You need to steal an opposite one from another team and make it to the tower in the center of the forest. However, you may not look at the contents of the scroll until you reach the tower. This part will last a total of 5 days. What? Cried a fat boy. What will we do for food? Anko snickered. Don't worry, there are plenty of things to eat in the forest. Along with many poisonous snakes, spiders, and other things. Oh, one more thing. I need you to sign these weavers so I won't be responsible for your deaths. With that she handed the papers out and the genin had a half an hour till they got their scrolls and another 15 minutes till the exam started. Naruto was sitting by himself for a moment while his teammates were gathering up some last-minute supplies. Isaribi wanted to get some extra bandages in case she needed to replace the ones she had on, and Haku needed scrolls so he could seal some water into them. Naruto felt confident that his close combat skills would be enough for this part of the test. Soon, he saw someone walking over to him. What do you want, Hinata? I wanted to talk to you, she replied. You shouldn't. We are enemies, or have you forgotten? I could never think of you as my enemy and Naruto. Naruto sighed. Fine. What do you want? Where have you been all this time? Didn't why you write or even say goodbye? I was worried. Is that all? Fine, I have been in water country as a mist shinobi. Your brother framed me and I was kicked out of this village by your dear father. After that, I was taken in by my sensei and learned of my heritage. Finally finding some happiness in life, I decided to cut all ties to my past. That includes you. The only reason I'm here now is because the old man made a deal to try and get me back. Hinata looked devastated. His brother was the reason Naruto left. Why would he do something like that? Hinata, hate me, said Naruto as he stared at her. Hate me, loathe me, and despise me. Forget about our past and more on with your life. At that point, both Kiba and Shino had walked up and could hear everything. There could never be anything between us at this point. No one could ever love the person who killed their brother. At that, tears began to fall from the eyes of Hinata. Kiba charged at Naruto and grabbed him by his shirt. You did what? He shouted. I killed Hiro, said Naruto with a sad grin. It was sad really. He begged me to spare him. So much for the Hyuga pride. You bastard, growled Kiba. I may not have known him all that well, but he was a fellow Leaf Shinobi, and around here that means he's like family. At this, Naruto began to laugh. Kiba let go in confusion. Family, chuckled Naruto. That sounds nice, but it's only words that a fool would believe. Because if it was true, then what was I in this family? But that began to walk away. As he passed by Hinata, he moved a hand to her cheek to wipe away a tear. Sorry I made you cry, he said in a low tone that only Hinata could hear. Soon, he and his team were standing at their assigned gate, waiting for the signal to start. You guys ready? He asked. Yes, they said. The gate suddenly opened and they walked into the forest. They were in a hurry. In fact, the slower they moved, the more likely the prey would come to them. About 20 minutes into the exam, they saw a grass nin flaring a large amount of killer intent in a clearing. Sorry, coming through, said Naruto as they walked into the clearing. They then saw who the grass nin was attacking. It was Team 7. Small world, said Haku. We just can't seem to get rid of you. The grass nin looked at them and smirked. Well, it seems help has arrived for you. It will do you little good. She then flared a blast of killer intent to freeze the mist nins in place. Not bad, said Isaribi. That would have worked if we were not already seasoned fighter. Is that so, said the grass nin with a smirk. Then maybe you could lend me a hand. I want to see what Sasuke can do, but he won't play with me. She turned her head to indicate Sasuke who was shaking with fear. Perhaps you would give me a hand if I give you my earth scroll. Hell, I'd do it for free, said Naruto. But since you offered, we accept your offer. She tossed him her scroll and Isaribi caught it. I have been meaning to fight in Uchiha for a while now anyways. I mean Kisame has been spotted with your brother and if I want to fight him, I'll have to go through Itachi as well. At the sound of his brother's name, Sasuke looked up and stared at Naruto. He noticed this and chuckled. Don't think you are the only one after him. Kisame was once a member of the 7 before he became a missing nin. And if your brother is with him, well, I might as well fight him too. No, said Sasuke. Excuse me, said Naruto. No. I will kill Itachi. With that, Sasuke raced towards Naruto at a blazing pace and Sharingan activated. Naruto sidestepped and the attack missed him completely. Sasuke turned around and tried again with the results being the same. Soon they were in the trees, Sasuke charging and Naruto dodging at the last minute. You waste too much energy like that, said Naruto. Naruto didn't have a bead of sweat on him while Sasuke was panting for breath. It looks like your sensei did a crappy job of teaching you. Well, consider this your lucky day as I drill the basics back into that little head of yours. Shut up. Great fireball jutsu. With that, a large ball of fire came flying towards Naruto. Too easy. Dance of the full moon. With that, he grabbed the Kubikiri Haucho from his back and began to twirl it in front of him till it resembled a disc. This acted like a shield from the flames. No way, said Sasuke as the blade slowed down. Your first problem is your anger. The first mention of your brother and you blow a fuse. If you can't control your emotions then they end you controlling you. That will give your enemy the advantage they need. Shut up. What would a loser like you know? This time he threw some kunai with wire around them at Naruto. However, instead of hitting him, they wrapped him around a tree. Now die loser. Dragon fire jutsu. As the flames came down towards Naruto, Sasuke didn't notice the one-handed signs he was making. The flames hit Naruto and Sasuke smirked. It quickly disappeared as he saw that Naruto looked unharmed. Naruto noticed his confusion as he walked back towards him. Please, you saw Haku doing one-handed jutsus, so what makes you think I couldn't? The jutsu I used was called the water shell jutsu. It is a decent defense against fire-based jutsus. With that he disappeared and reappeared in front of Sasuke with his fist in his stomach. Lesson 2, never underestimate your opponent. Despite what you think, you aren't the greatest. How many real missions have you down? 1 and you lost your fight against Haku. I bet after that you didn't increase your training regiment at all. Sasuke gave Naruto a hateful glare. Even with his bloodline limit, the result was the same as the time he fought Lee. He was simply faster. Hey, grass girl, was that enough of a demo? With that, she appeared next to Naruto. Yes, that was most helpful. If you don't mind I would like to take my turn and fight him. Well then, take care. With that, flashed a smile and salute. He then dodged an ink-clone attack from the new member of the group. Gotta go. Naruto then disappeared in a whirlwind of leaves, along with Isaribi and Haku. Barry appeared in a different clearing a ways from where the fight had taken place. Haku was giving him a look that said, "Why did you do that?" "Stop that, Haku," said Isaribi. "We gotta scroll out of that fight and hopefully got rid of an enemy team. It's not like we sold ourselves to an asshole like Orochimaru. If only she knew." For the next 3 days, the Mist team decided to do some light training in the forest. Part of the reason was that they knew what the next part was and didn't want their skill to dull. Another reason was that they wanted to get rid of a couple of teams while they waited for the deadline. On the 4th day of the test they headed towards the tower. When they arrived at close to the tower, they heard some noises and decided to see what it was about. Hiding they saw the sound team. The mummy man seemed to be beating the shit out of his teammates. "You cocky fool," he shouted at a guy who had both his arms in a sling. "You had to ignore me during that fight. Now look at you. The mission failed because of you, Zaku." He gave him a right hook, then turned to the female teammate who was lying on the ground. "And you kin, what good are you?" He kicked her in the stomach. "Hey, cut that out," shouted Isaribi as she jumped out of her hiding place. "What kind of jerk kicks his own teammates when they are down? They are trash who failed in their mission. They have no real use." "So, they are not precious to you?" asked Haku as he appeared. "Normally, I avoid a fight as much as possible. But, I will make an exception." "I'm with you there, Haku," said Naruto as he appeared behind the mummy. "I had to hold myself back a great deal. Consider yourself lucky, you got to live for a few extra moments." "No," said Isaribi. "I want this one." "Isaribi," said Naruto sternly, "heal the others. Don't waste your skills on trash like him." "Fine," she said as she went over to check up on the other two. "Well then," said Haku, "mind if I?" "Knock yourself out," replied Naruto as he took a few steps back. "Beam and ice mirrors with that." 4 mirrors squared the mummy man into a tight situation. Haku then stepped into one on them and began his barrage. Dosu did his best to counterattack, but it was no use. Haku was too fast, and soon he was covered with senbon. "Forgive me, Orochimaru." At this Isaribi's eyes light up with anger. "What name did he say?" she asked Kin, who was now healed. "Orochimaru. He is our village's leader." This information enraged Isaribi. The bastard who had ordered the experiments on her controlled a village. He had become more powerful due to her sufferings. "I refuse to help them anymore," she shouted and walked away. "I understand," said Naruto. He turned to face Kin and her teammate. "I would be careful around him. He has a habit of using others for his own benefit." Isaribi was taken by him and a guy named Amachi and used in his experiments. "Well, have a nice day." With that, he walked away, leaving the two to think about who they served. Kabuto was walking down the corridor that led to where the Jonins were staying. He knocked on the door that was for the Jonin of the Sound Village and his roommate. Not getting an answer, he went in and saw Orochimaru, in disguise, sitting in a corner rocking back and forth slowly. His eyes were wide had he looked like he was in shock. "Sir," said Kabuto. "Your team didn't qualify for the 3rd part. Are you okay?" Orochimaru slowly turned his head to face Kabuto. Thank you," he stammered. "I don't think I could have taken another D-Day with my roommate." Kabuto was about to ask who his roommate was when Guy came bursting into the room to chat with his youthful roommate. Kabuto decided that he had better get going, not wanting to be near this strange-looking Jonin. Naruto was in the medical wing of the tower looking for Kin and Zaku. He walked for a short while till he found their room. Like all of the genin who had been rescued in the forest, they had been brought here for medical attention and to wait for the sensei. "Yo," he said as he walked in the room. "What do you want?" asked Zaku. Both he and Kin were on edge due to fear of what Orochimaru will do to them for failing. "I came to apologize for my teammate and to warn you," said Naruto with a sigh. "I realize that you didn't know about the things he does to people. To him, everyone is a pawn. Whatever plan he has for you will only serve his interests in the end. When he is done with you, he will discard you without a second thought." Naruto noticed the two of them starting to shake. "If you wish, you could become members of my village. If you do want that, I'll ask the Mizukage and back you up all the way." Naruto turned to head out the door. "Why are you doing this to us?" asked Kin. "You know nothing about us and you're trying to help us. Why?" Naruto turned around slowly and looked at her. "Because, when I was abandoned, someone helped me. That's all you need to know." With that, Naruto left and began to walk over to the fighting arena. When he got there, he stood with his team and began to observe the others who had passed. He saw a total of 4 leaf teams, and the team formed sand. This soon changed when Sasuke's team came in at the last moment. "So, looks like you got lucky at the last minute," said Naruto to Sasuke. "Whatever dope," was the Brooder's only reply. Soon the Hokage appeared before them and began to explain the reason for the exam. The reason why it was an alternative to war and to show of the nation's shinobi. Soon Heiichiko appeared before them and said that there were too many of them so they would be having a one-on-one preliminary match. A screen on the wall soon decided the first fighters. Sasuke Uchiha and Yoroi Akato. All of the other contestants went up to the balcony to watch the fight in safety. The fight looked one-sided for a while. The guy named Yoroi had some sort of ability that allowed him to drain his opponent's chakra. Sasuke managed to escape his grasp, however he was greatly weakened. Then, with a familiar smirk, Sasuke charged at his opponent and gave him a powerful kick that sent him flying. Sasuke then used a leaf shadow dance and followed it up with a series of kicks, the last one in his gut when he hit the floor. "Never seen an attack like that," said Isaribi, who was slightly impressed. "It was similar to a move of the strong fist style," replied Naruto. "Most likely he copied it from someone else and claimed it as his own. I just hope it wasn't from a member of his own village." Soon the scene was going over the names to decide who would be fighting next. While everyone waited, Naruto watched Sasuke walk over to his teammates who gave him worried looks. Something was off with this picture, but before he could think about it any further, the next names were called. Shino Aburam and Shikamaru Nara walked down to the floor and got ready. As soon as the fight began, Shikamaru's shadow stretched and attached itself to Shino's. "Shadow imitation successful," he said. However, bugs shot out of Shino's jacket and soon covered the Nara. Soon, the lazy boy was out of chakra and fell to the floor. Shino was declared the winner. "That was fast," commented Haku. "Must have been a bad matchup," said Isaribi. Naruto just stared with his arms crossed. He wanted to start jumping up and down demanding that he go next. In truth, he wanted to have been first and finish off Sasuke and put an end to his arrogance. But the thought of doing that in the final sounded much better. The next two fighters were Kankuro and Misumi Tsurugi. The two began to trash talk and Naruto became bored. He then saw two figures walking over to him and his group. It was Zaku and Kin. "What do you two want?" asked Isaribi in a harsh tone. Zaku looked at Naruto in the eye. "We thought about what you said and we made a decision. We would like to become Miss Nins, if you can do it." Naruto gave them a smile. "Sure I can. I can do anything as long as I put my mind to it." Kin chuckled at that and Zaku just grinned. They then stopped and looked at Naruto's teammates. "Well, Naruto is a good judge of character, so I have no problem with it," said Haku. "Trust will take time," was all Isaribi said. The five of them turned their attention back to the fight and noticed it was over. Kankuro was wrapping up his puppet as the next two names came up. "Old Isaribi of the Mist Village and Sakura Haruno, please come down," said Heiichiko. Sakura looked a little scared but went down to show everyone that she had what it took to Hichunin. Isaribi simply walked down to the floor and took her stand. "I never thought I would be fighting you here one day," said Sakura. "I never thought you would live long enough to get this far. The last time I saw you, all you did was watch as one teammate died and the other got his ass kicked," said Isaribi. "You should just give up. You are not a shinobi. You are just a fangirl trying to impress a boy." "Didn't you do the same?" shouted Sakura. "Didn't you become a shinobi to get closer to Naruto?" "No," said Isaribi calmly. "At first, there was nothing between us other than friendship. I admired him for his strength, his dedication, and his kindness. Yes, I did fall in love with him, but I kept my personal feeling on my own time." "Enough," said Heiichiko. Fourth match begin. Sakura started with some simple clones and surrounded Isaribi who just stood there. The clones began to circle her until Sakura ran at her and punched Isaribi in the face. However, Isaribi didn't move an inch. It was like hitting a tree. Sakura backed away slowly as her clones disappeared. "Was that the best you got?" asked Isaribi. "I guess you should have spent more time training than with your hair trying to get dates." "Oh yeah," replied the pink-haired girl with anger. "At least I'm not some sort of freak like you." She instantly regretted those words. And if she didn't, well, she soon would. Isaribi made same hand signs and then stretched out her right hand. Mini water prison jutsu around her hand appeared, a sphere of water the size of a basketball. Isaribi then charged at Sakura and the jutsu hit her head. However, it didn't hurt her or disappear as soon as it hit. It just stayed there around her head. She tried to move, but her head wouldn't leave the confines of the globe of water. "I heard you were supposed to be the smart more," said Isaribi as Sakura began to trash at her. "This is exactly like the jutsu that Zabuza used against Kakashi. The only difference is its eyes. With your weak strength and no other jutsus other than the basics, you have no chance of escape." A few seconds later, Sakura's eyes rolled to the back of her head and Isaribi let go of the jutsu. She was declared the winner as medics came to save Sakura. She would live. "Was that necessary?" asked Haku as Isaribi rejoined her teammates. He understood why Isaribi got angry, but that just went too far. "Haku, don't bother," said Naruto. Isaribi did what she did and made a point. Someone like that shouldn't be a shinobi. She probably only passed the exams of this village due to her high grades. Why her sensei thought she was ready, I'll never know. Probable so the Uchiha could advance, suggested Kin. The other nodded in agreement and Naruto became furious. He had seen senseis favor one student before, but at least they taught the other in the team a little. To teach nothing to a student and then send her to something like this was foolish and irresponsible. The next match was Temari vs Tenten. Tenten began her long-range attacks as soon as the fight began. However, none of her kunai and shurikens hit the target. Tenten just continues with an increased number of projectiles, but to no avail. "What's wrong with that girl?" said Naruto. "She should have realized by now that that won't work." "Maybe her sensei trained her to be the long-range specialist of the group," said Isaribi. She had seen it before with other team in the mist. The Jonin instructor would decide what they were best at and train them so they could perfect that one skill. "If she was with the rest of her team, then it would have a better chance of working," said Haku, putting in his own 2 cents. She should have realized that this wind user has the advantage against projectiles and gone to close-range combat. A few seconds later, the match was over with Tenten's back on top of Temari's fan. A boy in green spandex jumped down and started to yell at the Sandnin for treating his teammate like that. A smile came across Naruto's face. "That's the kind of attitude that I like to see." The next match will be Haku of the Mist vs Ino Yamanaka. With that, Haku bowed to his teammates and walked down to the arena. Ino was shouting her loud mouth off about how this was going to be a piece of cake. Isaribi began to think that Naruto could have been related to this Ino girl in some way. When Naruto wasn't on duty, he was very loud as well. Soon, the two fighters were facing each other. "I hope we can have a peaceful fight," said Haku, who ignored everyone's sweat drop. "Fine, but don't think I'll go easy on you just because you are a girl," replied Ino. Before Haku could correct her, she lunged at him, trying to punch him in the gut. Haku easily dodged. "How barbaric," he thought. "Maybe I can take her out with my senbons. No need to show everyone what I am fully capable of if I don't have to." Soon his senbons were soaring at Ino and made contact. She soon felt paralyzed in her right leg. "How did you do that?" she asked. "I have a great deal of knowledge of the human body. Well, my senbons aren't enough to kill you, they can hit pressure points in your body, and the result is evident." Haku gave her a grin similar to Naruto's foxy one. While his eyes were closed, Ino quickly did some hand signs and shouted, "Mind body switch jutsu." The jutsu hit Haku and Naruto just sighed. "She doesn't know what she's in for." "What do you mean?" asked Zaku. "Haku has had a troubled past. You'll see what I mean soon." Ino was now in Haku's mind, slowly taking control of the body. Suddenly, the scene changed and she was no longer in the tower. She was standing in the middle of a long road with snowy banks on both sides. "Where am I?" she asked aloud. She heard a noise behind her and she saw Haku. "Welcome to my mind. Right now you are trying to access total control over my body. Before you can do that, you must get past my mental defense. There are 3 stations ahead over you. Get past all 3 and you will have succeeded. If that's all, it'll be a piece of cake." With that, Ino began to run down the road and soon came up to a small cottage. In its backyard there was a small river and the fields were covered with snow. She looked at the path and it led to the cottage. She began to walk slowly and when she got to the door she opened it. "Please, don't kill me, Daddy," cried a little boy in the room. Before the boy stood a man who looked a little thin but still powerful. Next to him was the body of a woman, dead. Her blood covered the floor. Ino ran in front of the man. "What the hell are you doing?" she shouted. "This is your child. How could you even think about this?" She got no reply from the man. In fact, both he and the child didn't seem to notice. She turned to grab the kid, seeing something happened. Ice shot out of nowhere and impaled everything in sight. Back in reality, Haku's body was on its knees banging its head on the ground. Soon it stopped and Ino's body began to move again. "That's impossible," shouted Choji. "Your friend forgot the basic rule of the mind," Naruto shouted back. He had a smirk on his face. "The mind is a very dangerous place. For people like Haku, there are monsters around every corner, ready to attack. Level after level, pain after pain she could search and all she will find is a sad soul with a broken heart." "I have never had so much trouble getting into someone's mind," said Ino as she tried to climb to her feet. "My sensei taught me how to build mental defenses in case I am ever interrogated for information," said Haku as he climbed to his feet. A second later he disappeared and 3 senbons pierced Ino's neck. She fell down and just laid there. Haku was declared the winner. Hiba was getting worried. Now, only the strongest seemed to be left. The one he wanted to fight was Naruto. How dare he kill Hiro? Sure, he was an arrogant ass, but he was Hinata's brother. That bastard made her cry, and I'm going to make him pay. He shoot Naruto a nasty look. Naruto noticed this and smirked. "So, puppy boy wants to take me on. Not that I wouldn't mind an easy win, but I'd rather fight a Hyuga or Gaara. Maybe the green kid as well. There is something about him. Naruto was snapped out of his thoughts when he heard a loud no from Kiba. He looked at the board that said, Gaara vs Kiba in Yuzuka. As soon as the two shinobi got down, the fight was started. Kiba instantly went into his beast mimicry jutsu. Naruto glared at him with hatred. They called me a monster and a beast, yet he does something like that and everyone is okay with it. Fools. Kiba charged at Gaara only to be stopped by his sand. Kiba tried several more times, but they all ended with the same results. Kiba then gave Akamaru a soldier pill and then preformed a beast clone. Double piercing fang, he shouted as the attack came at Gaara. This, however, was not enough to get past Gaara's wall of sand. You are weak, said Gaara with a bored expression on his face. Desert coffin. Soon, the two Kibas were held by the sad. We give, shouted Kiba. He had seen what the next attack would do earlier and didn't want to die. The proctor called the match and Gaara, reluctantly, released the boy and his dog. Haku jumped down and raced in Kiba direction. Does she like me, thought Kiba. Kiba got his answer as Haku went and picked up Akamaru. Oh, you poor doggy, cooed Haku. Did that mean old sand bully hurt you? And he wonders why people think he's a girl, said Naruto. Everyone heard this and just stared at Haku. Why you're a boy, stammered Kiba. Haku just grinned and nodded. Does that mean that that's a boy as well, asked Neji as he pointed at Isaribi. Naruto quickly restrained Isaribi before she could kill the pale-eyed boy. I'm a girl, you asshole. Soon the board became active and the names of the two Hyugas shown. Hinata and Neji slowly walked down. So, who do you think will win, asked Haku as he stared at Naruto. Naruto said nothing, he just stared at Hinata with a look of pity. He remembered the few times Hinata spoke of Neji and she always said things with the deepest respect and love. It seemed unfair that they had to fight, but life isn't fair. Hinata, you should quit, said Neji in a harsh voice. Fate has decreed that I shall win. He then activated his Byakugan and began to stare at Hinata. Face it, you have never been good at anything. You are just a useless member from the main house. I know you have tried to change, but it is useless. One can never change themselves. Hinata was trembling all over. Everyone looked at her with pity and wondering why she wasn't defending herself. Hey, said Naruto suddenly. I get enough arrogance from the Uchiha over there. I don't need it from you. Hinata, he gave her a kind smile, do your best and you'll do fine. Immediately, Hinata's fear was gone and she activated her own bloodline limit. I will prove to you that a person can change, said Hinata without stuttering. They charged at each other and began a series of palm thrusts that each dodged. What's that style, asked Kin. That, replied Naruto, is the gentle fist of the Hyuga clan. Rather than breaking bones, it targets the body's organs and chakra system. It's very powerful and can only be done by a select few. Naruto grinned at that last part. Only the Hyuga and he knew how the style worked. The battle was not looking good for Hinata. During Niji's thrusts, he had closed many of her chakra points without her noticing. Soon, she was struck in the gut and sent flying. You see, said Niji in a cold tone. What you are doing is pointless. This match was over long before the fight began. He began to walk away, but stopped as Hinata got up. He turned and told her to stay down. When she didn't reply, he raced over and delivered a few more strikes and walked away again. Hinata got back up despite everyone's cries telling her to stay down. Niji turned and stared at her. Why do you keep getting up? Because, and now the person I have waited for is watching me. She began to cough. Niji, I can know what you are going through, but you are not alone. But, what or why you fighting F for? For some reason, Niji grew furious. He charged at the barely standing girl in front of him. The proctor shouted at him to stop, but he didn't comply. The Jonin began to move to stop him, but he was too close. He shot a palm at her with all his strength. The attack collided with the flat side of the Kubikiri Haucho. The Jonin stopped where they were. Naruto stood in front of Hinata with his sword along his chest, giving Niji an evil glare. Then Naruto, said Hinata as she began to cough out blood. Why did you save this piece of trash, yelled Niji. I know you killed Hiro, so why are you protecting her? Is it some sort of penance? No, said Naruto. I feel no regret for what I did to him. He deserved his death as did the other people on the bridge that I killed. This shocked most of the remaining people in the room. Naruto continued. People like you make me glad I never had a real family. From what I have seen, you are nothing but an arrogant brat who enjoys belittling those who show him kindness. She could have crushed you in a second. That's a laugh. Her, beat me? How? Naruto simply pointed to his forehead, where the caged bird's seal was. Niji realized what he meant. All Hinata had to do was activate it and he would have been down for the count. As to why I saved Hiri, don't know. I just felt I had to. Naruto felt Hinata begin to fall. He dropped his sword and grabbed her just in time. Hinata looked up into his eyes and a few tears began to fall. Have I gotten stronger, she asked. Before Naruto could say anything, she passed out. Kurenai shot Neji a dirty look as she moved over to Hinata. If you have time to give me dirty looks then you have time to save that trash's life. It doesn't matter really, she's better off dead than returning home. Isaribi, come quick, we need your healing powers. Isaribi nodded and jumped down. She placed her palms on Hinata's chest and began to heal her. To the best of her abilities at least. What do you mean? Asked Kurenai. She was now sitting next to Hinata, praying that she was alright. However, what Neji said worried her more. It was Naruto who answered. It's part of the Hyuga clan laws. If a main branch member defeats a main branch member, then the main branch member will be eliminated. Kurenai's eyes went wide. She knew how harsh that family was, but that was going too far. And Neji didn't feel bad at all. Even Lee was giving the boy a dirty look. She's stable, said Isaribi. But, she'll need some bed rest for a couple of days. I wish I could do more but. You've done enough, said Naruto gently. Isaribi nodded and helped the medics take Hinata away. Naruto turned to face Neji and let out a powerful killer intent that shocked everyone. Neji began to see himself die in 100 different ways. It's hard to believe that you are the one she spoke so highly of. When we next fight, I shall give you the same death as Hero. With that, Naruto picked up his sword, placed it on his back and went back up into the stands. It would be a few minutes before the next fight as they had to clean up the blood. While they waited, Naruto stared at Neji. He began to picture all the horrible way he could kill him. Yes, he would do that. He would leave Neji's mangled corpse on the front door to the Hyuga compound. Naruto. Is something wrong, Isaribi? Are you okay? I'll be fine. I'll just let out some steam when it's my turn. This caused all the people near him to back away slowly. The board sprang to life again. This time it read. Naruto Uzumaki vs Rock Lee. Battle of the Mini-Me's, joked Haku. Yes, it's finally my turn, shouted Lee. Calm down, Lee, said his sensei. Before you go into battle there is something that you must know. That sword looks dangerous. Lee pulled out a notebook and wrote that down. Naruto's sweat dropped. Now go and show everyone the power of youth. Sensei. Lee. Sensei. Lee. Sensei. Lee. Sensei. Lee. By this time, Naruto was already down on the arena floor. He thrusted his sword into the ground next to him and crossed his arms. Lee soon jumped down and got into his battle stance. Let's have a good match, he said. Naruto just looked at him, observing him. Let's see what you got, said Naruto as he placed a hand on the handle of his sword. Begin. Lee, with his incredible speed, ran at Naruto and punched him face. Naruto should have been sent back several feet, but the Kubikiri Haucho allowed him to spin around and delivered a powerful kick to Lee's head, sending him flying. Lee landed on his feet and got back into his battle stance, ready to fight. Naruto, who had landed on his knees, got up and began to smile. Wow, that was better than I expected, he said as he began to laugh. I haven't been hit that hard in a long time. Too long for my tastes. I am happy I am able to meet your expectations. No, Lee, you surpassed them. With that, Naruto pulled out his sword from the ground and flung it into the wall. He then began to do some stretches. It's been a long time since I fought a genius. I will enjoy this. You have the wrong idea. I am not a genius, said Lee as he looked down at his feet. I don't have a bloodline limit or anything special. Naruto stopped stretching and gave the Hokage a dirty look. What is that old man teaching these kids? I guess I'll have to knock some sense into him. He turned to face Lee. Lee, I don't have a bloodline limit. However, my eyes are very special. They allow me to see that heart and soul of my opponent. Anyone can have this power. It's called the power of observation. My eyes tell me that you can't use ninjutsu or jinjutsu. You have had a hard life, teased and discouraged by others for something you had no control over. You have worked hard to obtain what others that for granted. Well, am I wrong? And no, stammered Lee. How did you know? First was the girl named Tenten. After watching her fight I realized that your sensei must have had you all specialize in certain areas. Since the Hyugas refused to allow any other technique to be taught to their member other than the gentle fist, he would be the close-range fighter. This would have left you with either jinjutsu or ninjutsu to help back up your teammates. Judging by your bandaged hands, you didn't. So I asked myself why and it hits me. You can't. The second clue was that punch you gave me. In order for you to gain that strength, would have to train very long and hard to obtain it, leaving little room for any other skills. Alright, but how did you know about the teasing? It's in your eyes. They have the look of someone who has had to fight to get recognition and power. Also, people will take any advantage they can get to hurt others. The fact that you can't use chakra makes you a target for ridicule. Naruto paused for a moment and looked down at his hand. I know how you feel. To be born different and hated for it. To be called names and to have few people who will accept you. It's very painful when the world turns against you. Naruto brought up his head and gave Lee a look of determination. But, it seems we both found people who could see use. People who we would later call friends and family. Our precious people. It was because of them that I learned what made a true genius. It isn't what we are born with, but what we lack and how hard we work to surpass those who have more that makes a person a genius. Naruto, I am moved by your words. You must have had a great sensei like Guy Sensei. I did, replied the blonde. He took me in when I had nothing and nowhere to go. He saw me for who I was and relieved my worth. He gave me a purpose and shared with me his wisdom. Now I live to fulfill his dream. What is that? Lately, the world of the shinobi has gotten short. More and more villages are beginning to cuddle their ninja rather than train them to their fullest. D-ranked missions, weak academy exams, putting fangirls in the cells, and weak leadership. These are causing the world we live in to produce weaker shinobi. For example, the third of this village trained 3 of the most powerful shinobi ever. After that, what happened? Only 2 more came from this village that could eventually surpass them. One died in the Kyuubi attack and the other killed his family and became a missing nin. Zabuza sensei wanted to fix this problem and restore the name of the shinobi before it became a child's plaything. Only hard-working shinobi and those with the willpower to try to surpass the current elites may call themselves shinobi. I see, said Lee. I think I understand a bit. However, this is not the time for such talk. I agree, Lee. Let's give these people a fight to remember. With that, both fighters charged at each other and began a series of rapid punches. Sasuke, who couldn't activate his Sharingan, did his best to keep up with them. Kakashi pulled up his forehead protector and Kurenai didn't ever bother to try and keep up. Guy, other than the Hokage, was the only one who didn't need anything to keep up with the blows. While the punches and kicks were flying, Naruto accessed a tiny fraction of the Kyuubi's chakra and placed 2 chakra bombs on Lee. One on his right leg and the other on his left arm. Nobody noticed this by Neji, who activated his bloodline limit and saw that 2 of Lee's chakra points were red. Lee broke away from the fight and jumped onto a statue in the room. Both he and Naruto were panting lightly. They also looked happier than ever before. Perhaps it was because they were fighting someone who understood their pain and appreciated hard work. Or perhaps it was because they were fighting strong opponents. Lee, take them off, called Guy. But Guy-sensei, you told me never to take them off unless I was protecting someone precious to me. I did say that, but I'm willing to make an exception this one time. But that guy did his nice guy pose, and Lee began to take off his weights. When they hit the floor they created large craters. I see you were holding back, called Naruto. I guess I have no room to talk. Since you're kicking it up a notch, so shall I. With that, Naruto went for the bandages around his wrists. Flashback. Hey Fox, come over here, said Zabuza. Bloody Fox calmly walked over to his sensei. Hold out wrists. I have a present for you. Then flashback. Under Naruto's wrist were seals. As soon as they were out in the open, a chain made of chakra became visible that seemed to be restraining Naruto's movement on his legs and arms. Kakashi-sensei, what is that? Asked Sasuke. Those are chakra binders. They are an extra type of body restriction that uses one's own chakra as a force against them. In time the user's chakra, speed, and strength are greatly increased. However, there is a downside. If wore for too long, the wearer could die from chakra depletion. You're correct, Kakashi, said Naruto. These things take up a large chunk of my chakra. If I was a normal shinobi, I would have died within 6 hours of wearing these. But, as it turns out, I'm not. Release. As soon as he said that, the chains broke and disappeared. Now where were we? Lee disappeared and reappeared in front of Naruto and delivered a powerful punch to his gut. Naruto was sent flying backwards and was caught by Lee, who was now behind him. Lee threw him forwards and then reappeared in front of him and kicked him into the air, preparing to do the primary lotus. Soon, Lee's bandages were around Naruto's body and Lee began to spin them towards the ground. Primary lotus crash. When the smoke cleared, everyone saw Naruto head in the floor and Lee swing away from the body. Hayate was about to call the match when Naruto pulled his head out of the ground. His face was covered with blood, but other than that he looked fine. He wiped the blood away with his arm warmer. Impossible, shouted Guy. Who is this kid? Lee, I have nothing bad to say about that attack. Naruto disappeared and then reappeared holding Lee by the top part of his spandex. Now, it's my turn. With that, Naruto let go and then gave him several punches in the gut. When Lee hit the floor he tried to move, but he was in too much pain. Naruto casually walked over to him, taking his time. I can't believe it, thought Sasuke. He was holding back when we fought in the forest. How could this loser be this strong? If only I could fully activate my Sharingan. Naruto, just finish this, shouted Isaribi. Sorry, but this is the most fun I have had in a long time. Please, just 5 more minutes, pleaded Naruto like a little child. Lee managed to get on his feet and saw Naruto throwing a fist at him. Lee barely dodged it in time. I have to do something. He'll win if I turn this around soon. I have one choice. Lee was back on his feet. Naruto, I was saving this for my fight with Neji. However, if I can't beat you, then that will never happen. I'm honored, said Naruto with a large grin. Bait of initial open. Bait of rest open. Bait of life open. Bait of pain open. Bait of closing open. Lee's body was now covered with veins. His skin had turned orange. Small rocks and pebbles began to lift off the floor. Lee punched Naruto into the air and began to knock him around in midair. Finally, when his body couldn't take it any longer, Lee made one final punch and yelled secondary lotus. Crash. Now Naruto's body looked mangled. Several of his bones were showing, and more than his face was bleeding. Lee was on his hands and knees sweating and panting. Hayate was once again about to call the match when the red chakra began to fill the crater like water fills a bowl of water. It then began to bubble. Cut it out, Kyuubi, came a voice from the bubbling chakra. Every time I need a complete body recovery you do this. There was a pause. No, I am not being ungrateful. You're being a showboat. With that, Naruto stepped out of the red chakra and looked completely recovered. His clothes were a mess, but that didn't matter. How? Asked Lee. Remember when I said that I knew what it was like to be hated and despised for something I couldn't control? Well, the great and powerful fourth couldn't kill the Kyuubi. Instead, he sealed him inside me. Everyone stared at Naruto. The Hokage sighed. Only Naruto was allowed to tell people about this secret. It appeared he didn't care who knew. Naruto raised his hand next to his face and got ready to snap his fingers. Lee, I will give you a choice. You can give up or we can continue. It's your choice. I will never give up. Not until I prove I can become a great shinobi without ninjutsu or genjutsu. I see. If it makes you feel any better, you have proven it to me. I'm sorry, Lee. With that, Naruto snapped his fingers. The red chakra in Lee's arm and leg exploded, ripping his flesh and muscles and damaging his bones. Naruto began to walk over to where he threw his sword. He grabbed it and placed it on his back. When he turned around, he saw Guy in front of Lee. I will not allow you to kill my student, he said with a look of determination. I have no further desire to continue, said Naruto. I was only able to place 2 chakra bombs on Lee, so there is no need to worry. It is sad that he didn't choose to give up. I would have enjoyed another spare with him. However, he made his choice, and now he must live with the consequences. Naruto raised an eyebrow as he saw Lee stand up while unconscious. Guy turned around and was shocked at what he saw. It's alright, Lee, he said with tears running down his face. You can stop now. You know, said Naruto softly, he's lucky to have found you. If I had met someone like you before I left, it's too late for that. With that, Naruto walked back up to his team. The final match was Sai vs Choji. The battle was short. Very short. Sai used his ink clone to surround Choji and beat the shit out of him. Once that was over, the winner stood before the Hokage, who told them that the final matches will be held in 1 month. They would have that time to prepare and train. After that was said, they drew number from a box to decide the order of the fights. They went as follows. Naruto vs Neji. Sasuke vs Ai. Tenkuro vs Shino. Isaribi vs Temari. Gaara vs Haku. Thanks for watching this video. If you really enjoy this video, like, subscribe, and comment down below, and turn on that bell notification. Don't forget to support and follow Darth Valga for writing that awesome fanfic, and also make sure to comment on this story, link in the description. See you in the next video. Goodbye.